Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit that like button as you come in. Hit that like button as you come in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Real Precious. I see you guys in the chat. Dead Pill is in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, guys. If you haven't already, definitely hit that thumbs up button. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, tell a friend to come on over because we talk about emotional realness tonight. It's gonna get real. It's gonna get real, real. Okay. So definitely hit that thumbs up button. But I appreciate y'all for being here. Tarika, I see you in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. God happened
Tarika.
to me. Thank you so much for being here. Quincy Q, I see you in the chat, love. Good evening, good people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're gonna have some people joining us as we always do on Monday. You know how they trickle in. Y'all know how y'all do. But until we get those folks in the building, let's give it up for the people who are here. So we have Mr. Mark in the building as well as the actual King Smith, my great host. How are you guys doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing good. I ain't gonna front. I'm a little bit tired today, so hopefully my energy's not too dragging. I've just had one of them days where my energy just wasn't there, but I'm gonna still try to power through tonight. There, Precious. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course, of course. Well, we got you. We got you, King. Okay. We're gonna be each other's energy up here tonight. Mark, you're on mute, but how are you this evening?
Unmute yourself.
Hey, I'm about the same right now. I'm a little tired. Just got off the road not too long ago. Just came from the beach, so I'm still on the beach. But if you see me kind of laid back, just kind of wake me up. All right.
All right, y'all. Now I'm gonna need y'all tonight, but you did. I
We
appreciate you
got it.
for being
We
here.
got it. Oh, we
I
got it.
appreciate you for being here. You did say that you
Oh
were
yeah.
traveling, so thank you so much for joining us. So I have a few clips I'm going to show this evening. Again, tonight we're talking about emotional realness. One clip I like the "What would you do?" So it's like a scenario where someone writes in, and we listen in it and let them know what they should do, what we think that they should do. And then I have a clip of a man pretty much saying what the most attractive trait a woman can have. And I want you guys' perspective on that. And then I have an emotional realness. Is actually from my own pastor that the church that I go to. But yesterday he did a message, and at the end he had a perspective about emotional realness, pretty much saying that most people don't have a place where they can be emotionally real. So we'll talk about that towards the end. So we're going to kick it off with the what would you do. Again, it's a scenario. I believe this page is called Relationship Restored. I really like their content. And people write into them, and us as the content creators, as the audience, we give our 2 cents. So we're gonna jump right into this clip here.
We we are hearing from Anonymous. They say real lover here. So I met this guy in 2020, pandemic love. We broke up in 2021, but we are off and on still to this day. I've dated others since, but nothing sticks, probably because he is still around. I feel like at times we can be toxic to one another, but we don't seem to completely sever the ties. Well, we restarted in January of this year, and at first it was just key under the mat, sleep over, spend a few days together, and just do us and live life. I have expressed that I would like for us to try being a couple again. He states that he isn't dating anyone else, but we can kick it and do us, and that we will see what happens. Now, before you say it, I know that that is code for nope, I'm waiting for the one, but you allow me here, so here I am. Well, the key under the mat has now turned into clothes in the closet, drawers, and him being in my place for more than a month now. I want a relationship, and I do not think there is one to be had with him. I want him to leave, but I fear he is, as my friends call him, homeless, and I feel bad for him, but I do not want a roommate, and he makes it a challenge to date others. He invites me places with his friends, and he does couple things with me, but I feel like that's just his way of making sure he has a place to stay. I do not know how to kick him out and feel okay with moving on from someone that does not want the same things that I want. How can I get the strength to end this? I am exhausted in all areas, mentally and emotionally. Help me, please.
She said, "Ayórame, ayórame." All right, y'all. So y'all heard her plight, and we could break it down and play it again if y'all need to. But from the first listen, what do y'all think about the situation? King, we'll start with you.
Man, so overall, I think it is a case of him being a homosexual. It sounds like, hey, it sounds like I think it's okay for people to use each other if both of y'all are getting something out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it. But I'm hearing just her side. Yet in hearing just her side, I'm hearing where she's not really getting as much as she's giving out of that relationship. It sounds like, he is using her for her place. She may be a fun time, but I heard her saying that she wants to have something that's more than just a fun time, and she's not going to get it from this guy who's, by my accounts, imprinted on her to where, she said, he makes it hard for her to, date other men. So she's got to let this guy go completely, and in all
Well,
ways, for somebody new to be able to come in for her.
we know she got to let him go, right? But how do you think that she should go about that when the key underneath of the door or underneath of the mat turned into, now you got some drawers here that you're putting your clothes in, and you know what I mean, you stepping out the shower with water all over the floor at this point, and you leaving the top off the toothpaste. Like, how do we get here? Like, how do we get her to, we know, because you're right, it does sound like he doesn't want anything serious with her. It's like they're on, they're off again, they're on, they're off again, and she wants to be serious. So how would you propose, because I'm gonna say how I propose, how would you propose she get him out?
You got 30 days. Oh, baby, no. But hey, you know what? No, Ninja, you got 30 days.
Okay, straight to the
And yeah, and she has to be stern about it. And this dude might, no, baby, hey, come here, baby, and try and smooth his way back in there and try and blow it back out to extend them 30 days. But she has to have discipline and strength to be able to hold strong and just uh cut the dude off completely. Because if not, he's just gonna circle back around.
point. Okay, Mark, what do you
Well, I
think about the
mean, I
situation?
guess I guess it seems like to even get to that point, there was some lack of communication. There has to be a point where, well, before it gets to that point where you're tired, obviously there must have been some things that were missing in that part. So, but to answer your question, I would probably say, um, sit down, have a good conversation, ask, what is your plan?
Hmm.
You want to see if that person is looking at this being a short term thing, long term situation. Um, and I think with that, if he decides he wants to stay and she doesn't want him, then the 30-day rule. I know here in Georgia, you literally can kick someone out. Once you can serve them an actual letter. After about 30 days, they do have to leave the premises. So I guess she will have to have some type of action first, without any, type of combative issues or whatnot. So
Gotcha. Okay, so I did drop the link, and we're gonna play the video again and break it down because you use the word lack of communication. Use the words lack of communication, and I think that there was communication. I think that there could have been miscommunication or communication that was misconstrued, um, or simply like you said, lack of communication. So, but there is something in the communication piece there because I think that these situations happen often, right? These situations happen often where you go from just kicking it, just chilling, Netflix and chilling. You come over, hey, okay, now you gotta go. See you later. To now you moved in, and I'm not quite feeling this because I'm not being it's not serving me, right? That's what a woman would say. It's not, this is not serving me anymore. But before you're in a situation where it's not serving you, are you sure that you should be in that situation? So we're going to break it down from part by part to see where the breakdown happened. I did drop the link for anybody who wants to join. Like I said, situations like this happen every day. You do have to show your face in the back screen because we don't want no foolishness. We don't want no foolishness. I will drop you. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to put this back up on the screen and go over it. All righty.
Yes. All right. So this week we are hearing from Anonymous. They say real lover here. So I met this guy in 2020, pandemic love. We
Pandemic love, y'all. Keep your ears open, okay? Just keep your ears open, okay? Pandemic love. I'm gonna stop it right there because I don't know if there was any pandemic love. Okay, there may have been some pandemic babies because they was popping their heads up soon as they came out the womb. They climbing, they backflipping, they doing everything that kids couldn't do 20 years ago. Okay, so there definitely was some pandemic babies. There definitely was some pandemic. There was some residue that came from the pandemic that wasn't necessarily virus related. It was relationship related because during the pandemic, people had to stay in. Normally, if you got a job, if you were not an essential worker, you were home. And a lot of things happened in the pandemic where a lot of things were revealed because now you're close proximity. Now you don't have that time to go away and have your time to yourself and have your thoughts to yourself and be able to breathe a little bit. People had to stay in. So this is a pandemic love. Okay.
We broke up in 2021, but we are off and on still to this day. I've dated others since, but nothing sticks.
So they were off and on, and she dated other people, but nothing was sticking, which means they were sleeping together and she couldn't leave that one alone.
Probably because he is still around. I feel like at times we can be toxic to one another, but we don't seem to completely sever the ties. Well, we restarted in January of this year, and at first it was just key under the mat, sleep over, spend a few days together, and just do us and live life.
I'm gonna stop it there. So at the beginning of this segment, she said that they were toxic with one another and they never would sever ties. So right there in that part, that's where communication needs to happen, because it's like we both know that we're not good for each other. Yet we both continue to be in this relationship where we're not committed, but we keep going back and forth. So I think that's the first place that we have to really, kind of hone in on, because people be knowing when they toxic. Y'all, we be knowing when we toxic, we ain't right for each other. Yeah, we still gonna ride the wave. And at this point, we just need to get our asses out the water. We just got to get out the water. Like you got off the beach, Mark. You know how you walked away from the water? Sometimes we just got to walk away from the water, right? So they didn't walk away. So now they in the deep end at this point. Because now the key went from going from under the mat to now they living together.
I have expressed that I would like for us to try being a couple again. He states that he isn't dating anyone else, but we can kick it and do us, and that we will see what happens.
So here he says they can just kick it and see what happens. And whenever a man tells you that, I don't know, y'all men. So what do y'all mean when y'all say that?
I ain't trying to move up. I'm good with where I'm at. Simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of self-explanatory. One thing about us as men, when we want it, we're gonna make sure that you know that we want it. There's not gonna be any confusion on that. So
All right, so that's the second place where it's just like, he's telling you exactly what he wants, which is not what you want. And that's another area where women think that they, well, he's still coming over. He's
Or try
still
and be
getting to
like
the
Steve,
city.
or try and be like Steve Urkel. I'll weigh you down, baby. I heard what you said, but eventually I'm gonna get my way.
Right.
You can roll the dice and find out.
Right. So still in them deep waters, still in them deep waters.
Now, before you say it, I know that is code for nope, I'm waiting for the one.
And she knows. See, don't ever let a woman tell you, but I didn't know. He sold me a dream. I was in love. Women know. This is the real
Right.
pressure. I'm gonna give it to you real. Women know. I believe God put something inside of us to know. It's something that he put inside of us that maybe y'all got a half of, a fraction of. I don't know. But I know that women know certain things, and when we know, we don't act on it soon enough. We don't. We want to keep playing with fire. We want to continue to think that we can change a man, or we can heal a man, or we can, change his mind by just scooching it back a little bit more. Like, no, we be knowing. And we still be drowning. We just be self-sabotaging. So that's a third place where it's just like she knows that he is not able to provide her exactly what she's looking for.
But you allow me here, so here I am. Well, the key under the mat has now turned into clothes in the closet, drawers, and him being in my place for more than a month now. I want a relationship, and I do not think there is one to be had with him. I want him to leave, but I fear he is, as my friends call him, homeless, and I feel bad for him. But
Now, where was he staying before he moved in. What you mean?
Right.
What you mean? Homeless?
Right.
Where was he staying? Don't they ask like where was he living? Where was
Don't
his
they
house?
answer?
What was he at mama's house?
That's something
Right.
that needed to be known that the writer chose to left out, because I think that if it was known, everybody would be calling her stupid, because I mean, what are the scenarios? He might have his own place, okay, but if he has his own place, why is he over her spot most of the time? Unless it's just for them to, jump into bed together. Maybe he stays with his parents and she's, it's just a little bit more convenient to not be under the parents' thumb. But she left that out. And I think that that's vital information that can help somebody give her solid advice. And she chose to leave it out on purpose. Oh,
Yeah,
somebody said could be at some other chick house.
yeah. I mean, and she said her
Hey.
friend. She said her friends think he homeless, and my thing is, if you fear that someone is going to be homeless, then you know that they don't have anywhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
It's not like she said, well, I don't care where he goes or that's not my problem. It's, well, I fear he's going to be homeless. Like, girl, you not the shelter. And
Yeah, it sounds.
or you're not his mother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It sounds like there's a lot of key things that are missing out of this story.
Hmm.
To try to piece together, especially what was he before? That is key. I mean, sometimes I think loneliness kind of sets in, and all rational thinking kind of goes out the window in some of these cases. So
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
skip steps in most
Yeah.
cases. So
Good evening, Sean. I'm sorry. I didn't even realize you were on the backstage. How are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. Man, I just want to say I heard about off the subject, but I'm gonna get back to the subject. I heard about this presentation, no, not presentation, this um appearance that a young lady named Miss Precious attended this weekend and
Hmm.
showed out and had people talking about her. Don't choke now, because you didn't. You had people choking over the weekend. We don't need no more
What?
choking.
Uh
What?
what I
Yeah,
miss?
you went to an event that I just
I
heard
did.
about, and you impressed people. Let's just say that.
Oh,
So
so
now back to,
so
yes,
were
yes, you
you
were.
there? Were you peeking
No, I'm in
around?
California. I wasn't there, but
So people are telling you in California what's going on with me?
I heard about it all the way out here. Yeah, that's I guess the effect that you have. It's called
Oh.
the mandrill effect. But we going uh
You know what? We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going.
all right, but seriously,
Well, I'm glad good things were said. But
yeah,
what do you have
absolutely.
to offer to this?
My question is, why didn't she know where he lived before she gave him the box?
right.
Why didn't she know where he lived? You gave him the box, then you gave him a key, then I mean, what were you thinking about during this process other than the D? That's the only, we got all of these, the box, the key, the D. I'm confused, and she must have been as well, and getting them overlap, having them overlap, because how could you give that's fellas? Could you imagine having given somebody your key to your house and you don't know that she have a place to live?
Nope.
No.
To the point that, let's just say you found out she didn't have a place to live, to where you're really considering keeping her in your house, um because you feel bad that she ain't have a place. I mean, I don't know.
Well, they were on again, off again, pandemic love, and then they broke up, and then they got back together, and I I just think that with some women, they know that it's not a good situation, but I think it's what Mark said as well. that loneliness kicks in, and it's like, oh well, instead of me meeting him somewhere to give him a key, or me always keeping my key underneath of the mat where it's accessible to other people, let me just have him stay here. But I think that there's strategic relationship, and then there's just, I don't know what the hell I'm doing relationship. You know what I mean? There's strategic where it's just like, okay, we, may I first of all, let me put this in here. I don't think that a man should move in with a woman. I just don't think that a man should move in with a
Why?
woman.
I
Unless
mean,
unless
I
unless
agree.
I'm gonna say
I just
unless
like to
it's
hear why.
strategic. Unless it's strategic. Let's just say you guys want to rent out a place or whatever. One of you have a place and you want to rent it out, and you say, okay, we're gonna live together for a year while we're renting that out, and you're working together to do that and maintain that and still, save to get a house or whatever the plan is. But I don't think that it should just be a, here's my key, you can come in and out and live here, and we don't have any type of strategic plan of what we're doing for our future.
I agree. Now,
I
Precious,
agree.
now I said the same thing, but the reason why I say it is a lot more simpler. I'll say, look, I think if a man moves in with a woman, it's easier for him to get kicked out. Uh, when I'm going to say when, not if, there's an emotional something that happened and she looks at you and go, you know what, get the f up out of my house. Versus, it being the other way around. I don't think a guy's going to be quick to kick a lady out on an emotional decision. People in the comments or watching this, come for me. I don't care what you think about that, but that's my reason why.
I think people are agreeing. I believe the same thing, Quincy. A man should have his own. You should have your own. Um, and that, at a certain age, you can't still be living with your mom. You can't still be, using that as with your grandmother or a family. Like, you should have your own place. You know, I have never, because I've always had my own. Yeah, I don't think that a man, if a man say I'm going home, it should be to his home. That he should never,
Absolutely.
he should never ever be kicked out of a place. It's just not a good look for a man. And like I said, unless you have a plan and y'all are both, working that plan and privy to the plan, then that's the only way I see it, going down. And even that shouldn't take place, you know, soon. I think that you should still get to know each other before you, start to even move in and work a plan that you may have.
That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it goes both ways. You shouldn't move in with someone, period,
Mm-hmm.
unless you have the intention of being in a long-term relationship, however that you identify that as, whether it be marriage, whether it just be a commitment, because of the same reasons, but it's often just leaned on from a male perspective, and I think that it should go both ways.
I agree.
I've failed in that in certain circumstances, especially when there's children involved.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say one or the other have children that's living with them, and then someone else moves in with them, as they call shacking up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that then brings a whole nother set of complications that can arise in the future. Welcome, doctor.
We coordinating again. Me and Mark with the red, y'all the ninjas. Welcome, Doctor Nakumbe. How are you?
What up, Doc?
Fabulous. Good evening to the panel.
Good
Good to
evening.
see you
Good evening.
guys and hear you all. I did hear what was going on, so glad to be here. Welcome. Thank you, and hello to those in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I agree with you, Sean. I think that a woman should be able to do it on her own before she just expects some man to just come rescue her. Unless it's a situation where they're, really, really young, and, they're planning their lives together and they get married really, really young. But I think a woman should be able to live on her own as well and not, just living off of a man, and that's not a planned type of routine for them. I think that a lot of people get caught up in that, and women, find themselves homeless because they don't have anywhere to go and because they were, trying to live off of a man. So I think I agree with you there, where it definitely should go both ways. Dr. Nakambe, have you say you've been listening, right?
Yeah, I didn't catch the age though. Do you know the age of the lady who was reporting this, talking about it?
Mm-mm.
I don't think an age was
Uh-uh.
said.
All right.
Mm-mm.
From her voice, I would imagine, you can't really tell, but I was thinking maybe she's in her late 20s, 30s, early 30s, where she's talking about, I really want to get moving in life and I don't want
Mhm.
this plan. But, if you're looking at that young Thundercat age, 18, 19, 22, I don't say it's the norm, but that initial let's get together, that sometimes screams strength, like unity, having someone warm next to me, pending their size and stuff, but having someone warm next to me and convenience and all those type of things. It's like giving a teen a key to the house.
Mhm.
They see it as like, oh, I got a key. You see it as, yeah, I don't have to get off work and come let you in, right?
Right.
So when we were talking about why did she give up the box and why did she do this and why did she do that, I think in those moments, the stimuli, pending that stimuli, it hits differently than all of a sudden now, like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
So based on what I heard, it sounds like it was an impulsive, emotional decision that felt right, seemed right at the time, but now looking at what he's bringing to the table and what she feels like, where she wants to move, his emotional maturity, her maturity, just sounds like they hit a spot where they have to either have that conversation and figure out how to help him move on, or how does she shut everything down and when she moves on, it won't include him.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, we've been going back through the video, and there have been about 3 times already where you see that they should have gone their separate ways, yet they continue to move far along with living together. So we're going to finish it out and close out this video and go on to the next one.
I do not want a roommate, and he makes it a challenge to date others. He invites me places with his friends and he does couple things with me, but I feel like that's just his way of making sure he has a place to stay. I do not know how to kick him out and feel okay with moving on from someone that does not want the same things that I want. How can I get the strength to end this? I am exhausted in all areas, mentally and emotionally. Help me, please.
So now she's wanting help, yet she was very instrumental in this happening. And what you said, Dr. Nakambe, as far as it being an impulse move, at a young age, you do make those decisions because you don't have the wisdom, you haven't lived, and you're like, oh, I want to be with them. It's convenient. I don't. I want somebody to lay with that night. Yet you're not calculating the seriousness and how weighted that is when you're actually living with someone. When you live with somebody, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Their
big deal.
inability, I'm sorry, their inability to say no. That's long before he came along. And he's feeding off of that. He's feeding
Mm,
like off a parasite, her inability. In fact, I'm not sure if you were on that show when I talked about abuse, ABUSE. I mean, I know you're not a speller, but it's an acronym for a, a person in his position assassinate someone's character and they kind of isolate them. They have that person believe I'm kind of your whole world. Do
mm,
you really need to separate? Like, let's slow things down. It feels good. It feels good. And then boom, B set her up for betrayal because then when
mhm,
she feels like she betrayed me, which I can't put him out because I'm betraying him, and then I'll do anything to make it right. I don't want to disappoint you. You're a good man. You don't deserve, and then you use her for her resources. Can I just get another month? How about, let's just slow down. I want to help you. Aren't you planning on getting your nails done in a couple weeks? Why don't you use that money and I'm gonna help you? And then S, keep her just satisfied enough to where she plays into the continuation of it. And I bet it's just a couple of weeks. I bet it's around the 20th of the month when he gets his act right. Right? 25th of the month. He gets his, it feels good. And the first is too soon to kind of put him out. And then he shading her emotions, because if he can control her emotions, he controls her next move. She
Mm-hmm.
has to be able to work on independently her whole system about being able to say no and not feel responsible for his growth and or failure at that point.
Man, and there's men that know how to use that playbook so natural, man. Like I'm thinking of an example of a dude that if he fell off of a cliff, I think the world would be a better place. And he's done that. But play by play, ABUSE.
Mm. Now I was going to ask you, Doctor. You kind of went into it a little bit when she says at the end she says that she's fearful that he'll be homeless, but then at the end she says she's mentally and emotionally exhausted. Is that from her wrestling herself from not being able to say no and be emotionally independent?
Yeah, I think it's an internal tug of war. You know, that
Mhm.
we get tired when we have a decision to make. You guys ever planned a vacation and you're tired even before you left because you
Child.
have all the decisions like where do we stop and where do we go, and woo, the night before you're already exhausted before you even left. So I think her internal decisions and battle between what should I do, what should I not do, will I be the bad person? Then what does it say about me? The image, she might be worried about the image she's struggling with. He might be using the playbook with words, using some word play on her where she's really caught up. And so that drain comes from having a decision to make, her inability to say no, or her ability to say no, but she's hooked in the idea that she'll be a bad person and shame on her and she's going to disappoint someone.
Now, how do you free yourself from that? Because it is a real thing, and I think more women have that than men because men can keep it moving. So how does a woman free herself from that cycle of feeling one way but not really acting on it and sticking around in that fear of being a bad person for not, you know, lack of better words, letting down the other person?
Mhm. I can't remember, Mark, if you were part of this conversation, but I know the actual King you have and Sean you have, when we talk about men sharing their vulnerabilities and then women feeling responsible to caretake for us. So I think her understanding of she's not responsible for his uh, life patterns, and she's not tapping into. I bet one of the hooks in her is that she's tapping into his vulnerability of not being able to move forward, not being able to have this. You probably think I'm a failure. You're just like everyone else, and I understand if you got to do what you got to do. Kind of that word play. And I know we before, and Beautiful Animated has said this before. Where's her love for herself? And I always
Mm,
say some people are like a plant, because we talk about loving ourselves, do for yourself, but a plant, most of them need the sunlight and need water, and then they grow. So if
mhm.
this person is like a plant where she needs to caretake in order for her to feel complete, then I say you have to weigh out the consequences. One is tired, too tired, and nothing will change until you make a change. So
Nothing
which
changes
of
if
the two
nothing changes.
consequences do you want to deal with? Do you want to continue with this exhaustion, and that's on you, or do you want to take the risk of moving forward and hearing some choice words and whatever and moving on? Which of the two are the stronger consequences that you'd rather deal with?
Yeah, and I think that some people, just to add on to what you were saying, I think some people also go through the state of wanting to be accepted. Sometimes we put ourselves in places where we don't want to be just to feel accepted or to feel good about something that we're doing. I know sometimes that can cause people to make rash decisions, men or women. I want to preface by saying this: just not women, but men too as well. And so I think that can definitely have things like this can definitely happen. And when you feel that you may not be in that space again, then I guess that what do I say, that smelling salt of what reality truly is wakes you up, and then you look to be in similar situations. That's my 2 cents, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mark, if I may add, you could tell me if this doesn't work with what you just said. Because when you said when she or whoever doesn't feel, but I want to add. Sometimes I think it's more than a feeling; is a commitment to a commitment. So, like, if I watch my parents go through divorce, and I feel like, man, those childhood commitments we make. I'm never saying no to my kids. I'm never ending a
Mm,
relationship. So I
Right.
wonder if there's a commitment to a commitment, and the feeling that she has is actually to the commitment. If she breaks that, and on top of that, the feeling of letting this guy down. That's kind of a
that's
double dose
deep.
feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
we
that's
building,
deep.
we building.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's deep.
Right.
That's deep. That definitely is deep. A commitment to the commitment.
Commitment, right?
Mm.
Definitely see that.
That is deep. Alrighty. Well, that was the first video, and you can conclude from that she's not being emotionally real. Um, like Doctor just plainly put it, she could have a commitment to a commitment, and that commitment could have her in fear of letting this man down, although he has been letting her down with not being able to reciprocate exactly what she wants, from the relationship. So she has to simply be honest with herself. She has to be honest with herself, and she has to be honest with him. Like y'all said, give him 30 days. Like give him 30 days. Whatever, I don't know what state they're in. But some people get so lazy with being real with themselves that they let that time go by, and then by the time you know it, they in a common law marriage. Like now it's like, dang, I'm gonna have trouble kicking you out. I'm gonna have this is gonna be a time to kick you out for me. So before it
Yeah,
gets to
I
that
think in
stage,
Minnesota,
mhm,
I'm sorry, I was gonna say I think in Minnesota, if you get mail, I think after I don't quote me on a month, but if you get mail at this address, I can't just kick you out. We have to go to civil court
exactly.
because you can. I think it's after 3 months. But if you get mail here, I just can't kick you out.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's going to be a struggle for her now. So she has to act quick. You can't be lukewarm in situations like this. You know that you don't that he's not going to give you what you want desire out of a man, then you have to just keep it moving and believe that there's more fish in the sea.
Speaking of
You just got to
desire, and
keep.
I see Simon's here. I just want to throw this in real quick. What is her desire? And I'm not
Mm,
trying to be funny,
mhm,
but you know how we work jobs where we're not really happy at the job,
mhm,
but we get the pay. So, what is her pay in this situation? Is
mhm,
it the partner? Is it the sex? What is it? The once a month or twice words of affirmation? What is the payoff for her to stay in the situation?
that's a good point. Good question. I mean, it seems right now is a sex. I mean, it doesn't seem like he bringing anything else to the table. I mean, it ain't so like he buying groceries or, putting stuff in the house. He just got the key. So,
I
good
think he's
evening.
hyping her up, telling her the same shit that she should be telling him. Man, don't
Yeah.
let them people talk to you like that, baby. You better than that. You better than that. Now let's go
Hmm.
to bed. I'm gonna be here another month.
Right. Exactly. Good evening, Simon. How are you? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. You got to take yourself off of mute.
Yeah, salute to the panel, man.
Good evening. I don't think I've ever seen you before. So welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having like me on your platform.
Of course. Of course. How did you hear about the Real Precious?
Yo, I'm a Lapeef dog. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm there, man. I'm
Alright.
old school. So yeah, but all the conversations are related and entwined, and we're all family. So
Mhm.
when I come through, I'm just trying to be perspective. Um,
Okay.
so emotional realness brings forth life. Does it? Does emotional realness bring forth life?
Well, we're not there yet, Simon. We're not there
Hmm.
yet. We're just on our first slide. Did you see the first slide that we showed so far? Did you see the first slide that we showed so far? The first clip?
Yeah, yeah. I was watching all of it, but
Oh, okay, but I don't want to. That's the meat and the potatoes since you've been watching Lapive. Okay, that's the meat. You know, the girls like the meat. Ew, I know you know that part of Lapive. Come on now. But we're gonna save that to the end. Okay, we got another slide. We're gonna put in the middle here. I appreciate you for being here. Hank just joined the chat. But
mm,
we're gonna get into another video before we get into the meat and potatoes. But Hank, how are you? Thanks so much for being.
mm.
I mean, it sounds like I came into some spicy talk.
No, no, just regulating the conversation. I just wanted to flow a certain way. Um,
But when I
and
heard you say
so
"ow," I said, "Oh shit!" What did Simon just said? I got you though.
no, I was just being my own, noise machine over here.
Nothing wrong
All
with that.
right,
Ain't
so
nothing wrong.
thanks for joining. I appreciate you for being here. I know
Yes,
you
ma'am.
do your work on your side, so I appreciate you spending some time with us. We're going to go ahead and get to the second video here, because let me see. This is a husband and wife. They have a podcast together, and he was talking about the most attractive thing, the most attractive trait that a woman can have. And so, before I bring the video up, I'm going to go around, and I want you guys to say what you think the most attractive trait a woman can have. So we'll start with Mark, and then we'll go all the way around it and with Hank.
I would probably say outside outside of being physical would be um, the ability to listen.
Hmm.
I think that's very important. I think through listening and competent communication, we definitely can move the needle toward a more successful relationship. So I think that's very key for me. Just to kind of listen. That's basic.
Okay. King, how about for you?
Ooh, the most attractive trait for me is um somebody that's not chaotic. They're able to be peace and not disturb my peace. So somebody that's not chaotic.
Alrighty. Sean.
Okay. Well, when I was younger, it used to be tatas and booties.
S.
Nah, now, hot, honest, open, and transparency. That's
Oh,
the
you want
most
her to be
valuable.
hot? You want
Yeah,
her
I
to
want
be
her to
hot?
be hot. Absolutely. Those are very valuable to me at this point in this stage, and being able to live um strong in those in that space, because often you can be honest, open, and transparent and still not be mature enough to embrace all that comes with that.
Hmm.
And so having the maturity to embrace honest, open, and transparency is really hot to me, and that's what was very valuable at this point and stage in my life.
Okay. Okay. Dr.
Mm.
Nakumbe?
Yes. I was speaking theatrical ways. I need someone where if the monster's coming after us and I trip and fall and she come back to help and I say, bitch, run, get out of here, go. That she, sorry, but she goes. And at the same time, if she knows that I'm totally screwed, before I know it, she done brought her ass back to help. And so I just need that flexibility of independent, strong, but also at the same time, just enough nurturing. So I hope that makes sense.
Got you. Simon?
What's the question again?
what's the what's the most attractive thing that
Simon?
a woman can have? Did you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. To me, it's her thighs. To be honest, like,
Did you say thighs?
yeah, her thighs. Her
Okay.
thighs. Yeah,
Okay.
that's just me. I relate to things in a visual way. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I ain't even gonna be sort of like playing in the sense of saying, "Oh, I want to get into a woman's mind and all this sort of stuff," and I want to sort of be able to sort of do all this extra stuff.
But aside from beauty though, aside from her attractive, or excuse me, aside from her physical nature.
Hmm.
Yeah, do you mean like and I'm being serious, like because certain body parts represent like, because I've heard of Amazon women and their
Hmm.
thighs and muscular tone represent strength. Are you talking
Well,
about that, or just like just the physical thighs, to where if she locks them and your face gets squeezed in, like what do you mean by thighs?
thick thighs
He
save
belling them
lives.
out. He
No,
belling them
no, no,
out.
no, no. I'm like, so because that provides comfort. You get, anyway, go ahead. So physical
No,
or the
speak,
metaphoric
speak,
sense
brother.
of
I'm
thighs?
telling you,
Yeah.
speak, because that's what it is. You get what I'm saying? We have lost this space where we actually really appreciate women. So if a brother could turn around and say, "Yo, you really understand," when someone turns around and says something that's kind of like subliminal, that's gonna make you connect with your woman more. And that's what we need in this world, because at the moment, in this day and age, is very subjective. Do you get what I mean? It's just like we're just taking our women like, okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, so
Simon,
so the
Simon, I
thigh
can't.
the thighs thing isn't subliminal. It's actually what you find attractive. But aside from physical attraction, though, is there anything else, or you want to stay with the thighs? I mean, I'm not trying to force you to say anything else.
Uh,
No, of course, like when for me in particular, and especially, and I'll be very specific in terms of the fact that when I married my woman, she had certain traits. So
Hmm.
it was like she added value to our business. She added value to, things. And it's not like I couldn't do it myself. I could have hired someone else to do it. But it's just the fact that she was there, and we were laying in the same bed. So it created less of a problem than it would be, because we live in a capitalistic society. So I don't want to hire somebody else to take care of my accounts.
Hmm.
I'd love this woman to turn around and just rock into the kitchen, which is where I was banging out these invoices, and she was sitting around and going, "Yo, there's an Excel sheet," and that's what was going on. Do you get what I'm saying? It was just like it was rolling,
Got
and
you.
that's perfect. Do you get what I'm saying? I think most men just want a woman to rock into the house and just be cool. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they know what their game is.
Simon, let's not miss the point. What the world needs now is thighs, big thighs. That's the.
Oh my goodness. We're gonna roll it over to the Hank. Hank, what is the most attractive thing a woman uh can have for to you?
Um, I guess Simon took my thigh
Don't do
question.
it.
No, but serious, all
I'm
serious.
sorry. No, all right, sure.
No, you good. I, how, how did? Oh shit.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Um, respect
Mhm.
to me, that's probably the most attractive thing, and probably the next one is a pretty smile,
Okay.
because it's just something about we see it nowadays. A lot of ladies love to get disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? And so when you see the ones who are respectful, it's a real turn on. It's really sexy. I think it's beautiful. And then when they're respectful and they smile at you,
Yeah.
it just takes me to the next level, right? So
All righty.
Can I just throw in there for
Hey, Precious,
Sean?
can I add a
Uh,
bonus?
Yeah.
go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
I said another bonus. Really, I would definitely say the ability to work under chaos. You know, to me, I think that would probably be the main one, because at some point during the relationship, there's gonna be some discomfort, some things that we may not be able to either agree upon, or some things we may have to experience. So the ability to navigate through that without us, you know, going going to blows about situations that we shouldn't. I think to me that's probably the number one attractive thing. To,
There's no woman working under chaos. I'm sorry. Uh, so, women do not like to work under chaos. I mean, that's the
hey,
whole
have
reason.
you seen Precious? Have you seen Precious on the Chaos on the other show? See how she
Precious is
sits there?
something else. I'm sorry. Like, nah, nah. Precious can do some different stuff. No matter, that's like, what is that lottery ticket? Do you get what I'm saying? It's like you're not gonna come across a Precious in your life. Facts.
Guys, I want to believe that there are women out here that are good. I'm not the end all be all. There are there are good women out here.
But I think it ties into your name. I mean, if you think about it, to kind of have that quality that Mark was talking about, I think you have to have been dipped in the well to kind of get it. You know, you have
Mm.
you have to you have to have some insight and some life experience, and then courage to be that way. Like I
Oh
notice
boy.
even when I watch you on other panels, even where they position you, it always seems like the bottom row. Anyway, it just seems so. I think there are a few out there, but you have to know that they have that quality and then not push back on the life experiences they had. I think some people look at the experience and be like, oh, they really no, that's a gem right there. Don't let it fool you. And so if you think about it, I think most times people are like, oh, precious and oh, so sweet. And what do you think about that precious? Tell us the precious and the precious. And then when you lay into them, they're like, oh, snap. So I think more have it than we realize, but you have to have that courage to actually put it out there.
Yo,
And, and,
My
doctor.
and
opinion.
Precious,
All right.
I don't want to come across as if I'm trying to big you up as we all usually do, but seriously, um, you do have a quality that is rare, and we're not just saying it because you're here.
Mm.
It was saying it because of our experiences and our journeys through life, and not finding somebody who one can take your position, two can
Mm.
speak clearly about the position that you're taking,
Thank
and
you.
three, stand on principles that we all can value, because the principles, to Hank's point, lends to the respect that you're giving us, which is why we reciprocate the respect back at you.
Mm.
Mhm.
Boom.
And
I
do it in a way
Sean,
that's
I
real.
love you, dude. I just fell in
Yeah.
love with you. I'm
I
sorry.
With
appreciate you
with
guys.
Sean or
Yeah,
Precious.
Sean.
Oh, so I was gonna say one thing, Sean, about the body parts, and I'll make this. It's called that, but I'll be brief about it. The body parts, and this is the Adlerian theory. People drive a truck SUV because they want to feel higher off the ground, or they never want to feel stuck in certain positions. Da 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 da.
Mm.
People don't like to sit with the wall or the door. That being said, certain body parts, and you won't believe how many couples I've had where the men who normally sleep with their hands down between their underwear in between their thighs, they sleep that way. They have had partners, and again, not being funny, who've actually either they were spooned or put their hands in certain parts of the body, and then the confidence that comes with it. So if I have a woman who's considered plus size and we're walking out in public, and whereas other people be like, she should not be wearing that. And I'm not talking about like a G string up in Walmart. I'm talking about like she has on a nice outfit, but clearly you can see she's a larger frame woman, but she's proud. So it exudes confidence. It shows that she's not embarrassed. And then all the way to, like I said, I was talking about the Amazon women. So I have heard significant amount of times in my private practice, men who've complimented thighs, but for the significance of it, like she's not ashamed, da 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 da, and or the snuggling, the blah blah blah. So I have heard people talk about the significance of certain body parts and body size as a compliment.
Wait a sec. I saw you on you've got something on Black Man Filters thing, right?
Oh yeah, yep, yep. There was a thing about
That's that's with
the
Coach
FBI
K.
thing, most wanted, or which, or the
That's with Coach K.
yeah, Coach K. Yes, yes, yes. We do the mental health on Thursdays. Yes.
Did you say FBI most wanted?
Yeah. I tried to pick the lesser of the two evils first. I seen you somewhere. The list. You saw me on the list, and then they get to say no, no. I said, oh, okay, oh, okay.
No, Doctor, I came on your thing, man. I came on
Oh,
your
okay.
thing.
Thank you, thank you. So yes,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But anyway, I just wanted to give that 2 cents about certain body parts, and
Yo,
especially for
you
the
see how
amount
the
of times
real you see how the real precious is representing over here? You see this panel over here?
I do, I
I
do is blowing
appreciate you
up.
guys. I appreciate you
Yes.
guys
This is
every
crazy,
Monday
man.
because you
God
don't have
damn.
to be here, but you guys choose to be here. So I really appreciate you guys. Scam Likely, thank you so
Get
much
the
for
lights
joining.
up, man. Get the
And
lights up.
Dietrich, thank you so much for joining. Scam Likely, you having another cheat meal over there? What you got tonight?
Oh, just some noodles.
Brownie a la mode. Oh, okay.
No,
Just some.
semi.
Scam
Dietrich,
is
what you
scam.
what you cook? What you baking up over there, Dietrich? What goodies do you have? I know you had to make some good stuff for Mother's Day. What you make? Dietrich is the cookie monster over there. You're on mute.
Is that red velvet cookies?
Red velvet? You still
It
on
looks
mute?
red at the
Oh
bottom.
no, we might be having some issues with the audio. Dietrich, you're
Hold
still
it,
on mute. We
hold,
still can't
hold
hear
it to the
you.
camera for a little longer. I mean, I can't see that shit. There you
Okay,
go.
so I'm
Woo!
assuming he can hear us, but we can't hear him. But we can see them cookies. We can see them cookies.
They look like pink cookies. They don't look like
Red
red
velvet.
cookies.
I'm sorry. I had my speaker. Plugged up. My bad. I can hear y'all loud and clear. I apologize.
You said red velvet?
But yeah, yeah,
No,
red velvet.
that's kind of embarrassing. You get a big dude. That's red. I know the red velvet. That's kind of embarrassing. So, oh, that's good. That is red velvet. Good, good, good.
Yeah, it's
They look
red
good.
velvet,
They
and
look good.
that's strawberry
You like
shortcake.
cool LL Cool J, man. Put pink cookies in the plastic bag. Getting crushed by
Yep, and
buildings.
I just did some banana pudding cookies just now. I got some butter
Mm.
pecan cookies over here in the bag. I got
Mm.
some lemon cookies in the bag.
I mean, just put go ahead and put your handle down there so we could go order because you just tempted
Yes,
all of us.
yes. Let the church say amen.
Well, if you insist. If you insist.
Yes,
Mm.
I still have to get
Man,
my
But
order
yeah, I
in.
did a lot of cooking this last 2 or 3 days. I had had some orders that I had to fulfill, and I had yeah.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, welcome to
even
the
had the triple
How'd it go?
chocolate.
How'd it go?
triple double chocolate
You sell some stuff? How'd it
cookies.
go?
What'd you
Yeah, I
say?
mean, I'm trying to see what the vegan cookie tastes like, man, because I know that Michelle early had ordered some, man. I'm trying to see what the cookies taste like, man.
I was waiting for you, King, bro, to talk. You guys. Oh boy.
All right, we're gonna get into this second video. The most attractive thing a woman can have. So we're gonna get into this.
I love you, King.
Than a woman that can speak life into you, because it's hard.
I'm gonna go back.
There's nothing more attractive, there's nothing more powerful than a woman that can speak life into you, because it's hard being a leader. It's hard taking on the responsibility of a household as a provider, not just of finances, but of protection, of guidance, of understanding, of friendship. And when you have a woman by your side that doesn't beat you down when you're down, but yet she speaks life into you to lift you up, there is nothing more powerful and more attractive than a woman that's able to do that. And from day one, you have been that to me.
Why are you both about to cry? Ew.
That was crazy.
Oh
I
my
looked at
gosh.
your face and I saw your emotion and it just got me choked up.
Okay.
But everything that I have done in my life, you have been there to say, yo, I'm your biggest cheerleader. So that's what I need.
Well, you know, I got you and I got us. I love you.
So
man.
what do you guys think about that? How
Yeah. Ugh.
how
I
important
think they
is
need a
it?
room.
Yes,
how
yuck.
how
Yucky,
important
yucky.
is it for for your woman to speak life into you? Because I don't think that I think women know that. I think women know that they have to do that. I don't know if all women assume that position as a
Mm-mm,
helpmate.
mm-mm.
So I wanted to hear from you guys, from the men's mouths, how important is it for her to speak life into you? And what does that do for you as a man, hearing it from your woman?
Let me start. Oh man, let me
Go
start.
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
see in the comments that C retention says, "Screw that Crimea River." Story time. So I was playing semi-pro football, and I had played for two different teams. One of those teams was 3 hours away. Now I
Mm.
had thought that I was communicating to my ex-wife at the time, like my games and things like that. It would have been dope to have had her support, but she never came to any of the games. Well, I
Mm,
changed teams to a team that was um like 45 minutes away. And again, trying to get her support to come to a game, she never showed up. Made every excuse in the book, right? So it was very disappointing for me not getting that support from her playing the game that I loved. And one time when her and I got into an argument, the words that came out of her mouth was, "I'm not going to be driving 3 hours away to watch you play football." And I lost it at that
wow.
point because I'm like, wait, you still think I'm playing with this team that's 3 hours away? Then you haven't been listening to me. So not having that support from her, it was very discouraging.
Mm,
And I had made up my mind, shortly afterwards. That's when I knew that my marriage was done. And I said,
mm,
if I ever get into something with anything, look, you don't have to know anything about football, right? But if I'm going to allow you to be in my life, then yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm going to need at least some surface level support from you. You don't have to make. I'm not saying make every game, but care.
right.
Understand what's going on with me.
Did you say you knew your marriage was done? Is that what you just said?
I knew my marriage was done when my ex-wife had no respect and showed little support to the things that I had going on, which was baffling because to me, I'd say like I knew the things that was going on with her. I was supportive of the stuff that she liked and the things that she tried to do. And I don't think she could argue against that, but
Mm.
I didn't receive that same support on certain levels.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why wasn't she supportive?
Man, you'd have to ask her. Um, the things that she said to me didn't make sense. Like she recently said that she didn't feel as though me and her had a friendship, which that to me blew my mind because I'm like, wait, what? So this was somebody I knew since middle school. We dated on and off throughout high school, and I'm like, I didn't. I turned down. Let me just be frank. I turned down opportunities to play for the Air Force Academy to ask her to be my wife. I'm like, I wouldn't just do that just for somebody that I didn't care about. Like I turned down a commission, a chance to play Division I football, and get a commission in the Air Force to ask you to be my wife. Like, I don't
Mm,
understand how you can say that you didn't consider me a friend throughout, our marriage and prior to. It didn't make sense to me. So I can't answer that question.
that's
What's
interesting.
interesting of what you're saying is that I can understand where it might not make sense because often the sacrifice that's being made is not as clear as it needs to be for whatever reason. You could have. It's kind
Mm,
of like when somebody doesn't know how to receive it, or
mm.
don't know how to trust. For example, you could be butt naked with "I love you" tattooed on your ass doing head spins,
Oh my God.
and they still wouldn't think that you love them.
Mm,
Thank you.
So it's difficult when in fact, but it lends. I'll answer the question, or when somebody speaks life into you, yes, we absolutely receive that, and part of that is having that respect and that communication and that trust, most importantly. And it goes back to the why I said hot is so important to me. Honest enough, hot being honest enough to challenge me, open enough to receive my leadership, and transparent enough to let me know when it's overbearing before it cripples our relationship.
Mm.
What is that noise? What is that? What
I'm
is
sorry, he
that?
just landed, man. I'm sorry, man. He landed. I'm sorry. He's just
No, but it sounds like an animal.
oh,
Like it sounds like.
yeah, I'm an animal. Like, goddamn, I'm
Oh,
a
that's
man.
you.
Like,
Oh,
look, no, like he landed like on point.
Oh, that was
oh,
him.
Sorry, I'll stop doing that in
okay.
the future, but I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It sounded very animalistic.
That was his
Mm.
airplane. That was his airplane noise.
He landed
Like,
like,
is there an animal
wow.
in here? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Simon Hector.
So, all
That's
right, Sean.
that's
So
what the
hot.
animal is. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm
I
sorry.
did. I won't do it again. I'm sorry.
Um. All right. So, who wants to go next as far as how important? I'm sorry, Sean. Were you done? I apologize. You
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yes.
Okay. So, who wants to go next? How important is it for her to speak life into you? Dietrich, we'll go with you next.
I'll go next.
Okay.
For me, that's one of my love languages, words of
Hmm.
affirmation. And my thing is that it's extremely important that a woman believes in me, supports me, encourages me. That's extremely important to me because it shows me that she's invested in me, and everything like that. Because a lot of the times, some men are hesitant to pour into a woman or bless a woman with too much because he doesn't know how invested she is in him. Because a lot of times we
Hmm.
see too often women want. They want all the benefits, but we get little in return.
Hmm.
So for a woman to pour into a man in such a way that sometimes she even sacrifices certain things or whatever, just like with actual King, what he was saying about the fact that basically she showed no interest in what he loved. So my thing is how do you say you're in love with a person? How do you say you even love a person if you don't even invest anything in things that they love? It's not always about you. So if that person can say, you know what, I don't really even like whatever it is that you're doing. However, I don't even understand it or whatever. I'm not into that. But because this is something you're passionate about, because it's something that you're into and it's something that you love, I'm going to go and support you. Or if you have a business that you just started, or you have whatever the case is, and that person is constantly making sure that you even like when you get down, because anybody who's an entrepreneur, they know that there's going to be lulls, there's going to be downtimes in business, there's going to be times that you get downright discouraged. And if you got that other person on this other side of you saying, "Listen, I believe in you," you know what I'm saying? There's greatness inside of you. I see your vision, and you can do this. Okay. I know this is tough right now, but you can do this. I believe that you can do this. There's that you have everything inside of you that you need, blah, 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 blah. Those things matter. When I don't know if you've ever heard of the fact that behind every great man is a great woman. You me explain something. A man can succeed even greater with the right woman in his corner. He can reach certain levels of success. But when you got the right woman in your corner, you can achieve even greater success because there's an element that woman will bring to a man that will make him more passionate than he's ever been because he doesn't want to disappoint her. He doesn't want to want for her and all of her sacrifice, all of her belief in him, even in the downtime, she stood by him and didn't question his manhood and all that good stuff. That man will want to battle everything in existence to make sure that she's happy, has what she needs because he already knows a lot of women ain't gonna do that. A lot of women ain't gonna go through the fire with you. They want the end result. Some of them. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? They want the end result. But for you going through your battles, your ups and downs, a lot of women ain't gonna hang in there. So when you find a woman who is truly for you, it adds a certain fire to a man. You know what I'm saying? And that's just my own personal opinion. And so it's extremely important to me personally because it gives me more push. It gives me extra, something
Okay.
to just pushing for and towards.
Mhm. Okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Mr. He said, thank you so much for blessing the panel. How are you this evening?
Hey, Presh, what up? What up? How you doing? What up, fellas?
I'm good.
Hope everybody's doing well.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
for having me.
Of
Appreciate you.
course.
Amazing conversation you guys are having, and an amazing video you just played. Me personally, I think it's incredibly important for your significant other to speak positivity into you because that's the person that you chose throughout all the other people that you had to choose from. You chose them. I look at it like a lawyer versus a legal aid. I think that a lawyer has your best interests at heart. I think they ask the pertinent questions, they make the right objections, and they even put themselves on the line sometimes and acquiesce to you when they're not completely knowledgeable of where they want to go. But a legal aid got a bunch of cases or bodies, however you want to look at it. They're not very attentive. They could care less about you particularly. They're just trying to get through and go through the motions. And that's what I think a significant other is, a paid lawyer. And they're going to ask the doctor the questions. They're going to talk about the DNRs, all of those intangibles. And I think that's the difference. So somebody that has your best interests at heart is only going to speak life into you, only going to speak positivity. And I'm a New Yorker, and I'll land my plane with this. Heavy D made a song, and he said, she opened up my door, and I kiss her on the cheek. She's so nice, polite, petite, so sweet. That was my picture of a woman. Sweet, polite, from sugar, spice, and everything nice. So she's going to speak positivity. She's not going to speak negativity into me. If she does, then she must be something different.
All right. Okay. We'll go over to Scam Likely. How important is it for her to speak life into you?
Depends on the person. Me personally, I'm not lacking confidence, so I don't need like a woman to say this and say that. I want action. I just want them to do stuff. That's simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That
let's talk in more action.
Yeah, that actually brings life and puts a smile to face, and then I can actually be that person and be that better, happier person.
Yeah. And see, to add on to what Scam said, it's not vital for you, or it's not important for you. Like I was playing football regardless, but the part where if I'm not getting that support from you, what made me start doing this, well, shit, if you don't give a damn about stuff that I have going on, why should I then do the things that I'm supposed to do for you? So it kind of caused this vicious circle when I wasn't getting it from this person who I was married to. So I don't need her support to play football, but it would have been nice to have had it, so that then I can still do the things that she would like for me to do for her.
So Scam, you're saying that you want action. So you don't want her to say I love you. You want her to cook you something or do something for you. Is that what you're saying? You would rather have the actions than her being a cheerleader for you?
The action is a cheerleader. The woman jumping up and doing the splits and all that's the cheerleading. Earlier for me.
Okay.
Like I might want something different than what the other men want. I don't care about the cooking, the cleaning, the funny stuff, the stuff that I want. My needs are different. I just want her to be the person who gives what it is that I need. But question, actual king. I hate to ask the same question again.
What's up, man?
I hate to recycle. If a woman is married and there's a man and he's doing something she's not supporting, there has to be a reason.
No.
I mean, look, I'll be honest. I could have been better myself about some things. So I think that there were things that I wasn't doing for her that caused her to not feel as though she needed to. So like I said, it was just a cycle that couldn't be closed, because if she felt like I wasn't doing something for her, then
Oh,
I can see why she would go, well, I don't give a damn about your football stuff. um I can't answer that for her, but I can say that I could have likely not been giving her whatever it was that she needed.
Okay.
Hmm. Hank, did you go on this one? How important is it for her to speak life into you?
and all that. But to me, it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important because you never know where a man is, where he's at, when he's not in a good place, or when he's in a questionable place, when he's questioning himself. Because guess what, men, we do question ourselves. We do second guess ourselves. And man say, no, he's not being honest. Then
hmm.
Mm-hmm.
you question yourself. You question some of the things you question. Sometimes you second guess the things you already second guessed already.
Mm.
We do that because you don't want to mess around and mess up, especially when it could be very costly. You know what I'm saying? Financially or emotional costs. Nobody wants to really put that on the line. Um, when we talk about how men mentally check out from the relationship, yeah, we question it, and we question it about 2 or 3 times before we actually do it.
Mm.
Is that what I really want to do? Is that where I'm really at? Do I see a point of no return in this relationship? We question those things. So yes, we do need life spoken into us to reassure us on certain things, certain issues.
Okay. Simon, how important is it for her to speak life into you?
Yo, you're not gonna like my response on this, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, you're not gonna like my response on this because
It's okay. It's not for me to like.
I'm telling you, she don't speak life into me. Like it don't work like that. Like the
Mhm.
fact of the matter is I speak life into her. And I've literally experienced this and I don't even like it. I would love for a woman to actually speak life into me. I'd love it. And
Wait, you don't like that she don't do it, but you would love if she did it? Is that what you're saying?
no, what I'm saying is she does not. But
Okay.
I'd love for her to do it,
Okay.
you know, because it's problematic. You see, like a woman like you're the real precious. And you are the real precious. You're together, you got your shit together. Like so you're able to do stuff. You're able to do stuff. You're able to navigate.
Stop this.
You're able to navigate the world. You're able to sort of speak to a lot of black men on a whole heap of panels. Do you get what I'm saying? Most women are not doing that sort of stuff. And I don't take a jive at black women. I love my black women. I was married to a black woman for 10 years, right?
Mm,
But she is messed up right now, right?
mm,
And we experience this sort of stuff, and this is why we talk about it, and that's why we relate to it. That's the only reason why I'm up here in the first place, because the fact of the matter is there will be no connection between me having my real life and being on the internet and speaking to people that are avatars or on panels if we didn't actually have a real point to make in terms of we've actually experienced this stuff.
mhm,
I don't think it's the black woman's fault though, which is a different thing in terms of the points that people make. They try and make out like, oh yeah, black women need to, be this and black women need to be that. And it's like that's not the point. The point is we just need to support each other. You get what I'm saying? Like my ex-wife is going through certain things. Like actually, I'll tell you something. Right now, she's missing.
wow. Wow.
She's been missing for 4 days, and I'm trying to track her down. This is my real life, okay?
Mm,
This is nothing to do with nobody else. But the
mm,
fact of the matter is it's not her fault. And we need to get really real with our situations and what we're talking about. Like we like to joke about stuff a lot of the time. It's like hee 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 ha ha ha, yo, our relationships and this sort of crazy stuff. I can read people's faces blatantly. Do you get what I'm saying? In terms
mm,
of like, you know, it is what it is. But when it boils down to it, what are we? Do you get what I'm saying? And I don't like to sort of. I joke a lot. I take the
mhm,
piss. I act kind of drunk sometimes. I'll do all this acting stuff because I come from an acting background. I do that. Okay. I did the whole YouTube thing originally, acting drunk because I'm an actor.
mm,
Check my name. Check Simon Hector. Google it. I've got tracks. I've been signed. I was published. Warner Brothers, BMG, everything. I've been through this game. But what happened through the pandemic and what got me in contact with people like Kevin Samuels and Anton Daniels and Lapeef XYZ was the fact that that was diminished.
mm,
And we all know that now. Do you get what I'm saying? It don't mean shit anymore. Like, so what we're doing up here is very significant. So when you ask me the question about um, you know, who I've been connected with and like who my partner was, I have to sort of look at it in a different way that other people do, you know. And
mm.
you know, the reason why I'm even up here, the real precious, is
Yeah, let me know.
the way you hold your demeanor is crazy. Like there are not many black women out here that hold their demeanor out like you do. You do it in a way that it makes me sort of like think, I want my daughter to look at you. That's
I
what my
appreciate
that's what I want my daughter to look like in
that. Mm,
about 10 years time, because I don't have any control of that shit.
mm.
And I don't know how you even got to it, because I see you
God,
holding yourself up on those platforms,
it's
and
God.
do you get what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
see you holding yourself up on those platforms versus those other ladies, you know, and you do it, so people are just
I
people.
appreciate that. I
Um,
really do. And I do hope that there is a recovery of this person who was missing, because that sounds tragic. So I'm hoping that that there's a speedy finding her. Okay. You didn't have to share that this evening, but I'm sorry that you're going through that, but I do hope that there is, some end result with that. So thank you for sharing that, Simon. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you too.
Mark, how about for you? How important is it for her to speak life into you?
For me, it's definitely very important because words can also take you the other way. They
Mhm,
can say things that can take the life out of you.
mhm,
So I think that someone that can speak life is very it's like a battery pack. It's like that extra charge. For me, I would definitely say that in the sense of, as we go out as men in this world, there are things that we come against outside of the home. Um, so just a few words here and there definitely will definitely go a long way to get us back on track. Because like Hank said earlier, if we do question ourselves, we do sometimes question the moves that we do make just to have that confirmation. Definitely gives a better outlook on what's reality is. So
Mhm. Okay. Dr. Nakumbe, I don't believe that I got to you, but I believe you would be
Yep.
the last person answering this question.
Hmm.
How important is it for her to speak life into you?
Well, it's important to me. I just can't see it coming. My psyche brain, I have to, I have to, I have to see. I can't see it coming. It's important, um, because there are people. I don't say like me, but there are people. I say anyone who's experienced trauma. Um, you're going to see things in extreme ways. It's going to be There'll be times when it seems like people don't even understand you, and like it's
Mhm.
you against the world. So when that person's breathing life into me, that's great. But if it's a person who, when I go to them, let me pause there. Let me pause there. So clinically speaking, and this applies to me, we groom usually our inner circle. So people who are really strong, they don't have a bunch of strong individuals in the inner circle because that's too much conflict.
Mhm.
So, but then the problem is when you need someone to fight for you and you go to that same inner circle, well, maybe we should talk about it and maybe you should set up a meeting. They're the worst people to go to because we've already kind of put ourselves in a circle around people who won't compete against us. So, that being said, I need that particular woman to be able to do it in a way that I don't really see it coming, because if she's also that person that I've groomed, then I'm going to be ready for her to give me some peacemaking, whatever, whatever, when I'm ready to boom, if that makes sense. And
Mhm.
then the other part of that is, once you learn how to ride a bike as a child, they say you never forget. Is that correct? We've heard that,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So once we learn that the people who are most significant to us, most important to us, and that should have poured into us and should have protected us, once we will betray them, it's like riding a bike. It's very, very, very hard after that to be able to trust someone to pour into you. So therefore, we either become super independent, and or we kind of second guess when they do it, or we have these unreal unreal expectations of when it should happen, and then they don't do it, and then we feel like they failed us.
Okay. So I think everyone here has answered this question correctly, right? Alrighty. Because this is a good segue into our last topic here. Guys, if you have not, definitely hit that like button. It's been a very, very, very good conversation this evening. I appreciate all the guys who are spending time out of their evening to come and give you guys their purest thoughts, honesty, openness, and transparency. Being hot up here on a Monday night. So I appreciate you guys. Definitely hit that like button, share the stream, and subscribe to the channel so y'all know when we having these conversations, so you don't miss it. Okay. Definitely click all on all of the notifications so you're notified when I go live, when I post on a community wall, just when I'm moving on YouTube. Okay. I appreciate Facebook for watching as well. But again, we're going to get into this last clip. This is actually my pastor, y'all. This is my pastor at my church. Okay. Yesterday, he gave a Mother's Day sermon, but at the end of the sermon, he talked about being emotionally real and how a lot of times people don't have a place where they can be emotionally real. I believe that you guys are emotionally real when y'all come up here. I feel it. I think you are. Again, that's why I can't thank you and appreciate you guys enough. But this is real for some people, and I wanted to go over it and talk about it with you guys up on the platform here. So I'm gonna get this up, this video.
Life, you feel safe enough to be.
And his name is Darius Daniels. The name of the church is called Change Church, y'all.
Some of you have nobody in your life you feel safe enough to be emotionally real with. Did you hear what I just said? God, give me a Job so that when I have these pressure moments, God, I ain't even got time to deal with this. Todd ain't got time. The book of Psalms is David. David's called a man after God's own heart. God talks about the purity of his heart. His heart's pure because it's empty. Y'all missed it. The whole, when you're reading the Psalms, part of what you're reading is a diary. You reading David say stuff like, if I had wings like a dove, I'd fly away. I'd leave everybody. You reading David, if I read to you some of the stuff David was putting in the diary in Psalms, you wouldn't believe it was in the Bible. I can show you in Psalms 103 where David prayed for his enemies' kids to be fatherless. You see him saying all of these unfiltered things because he felt safe with God. And I can tell how safe you feel with the Father by how vulnerable you are with him. How you got a filter with the Father.
So that was it. So I wanted to play that. You guys y'all always give me what you think of me. And I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. But what I can say, like when Simon was talking, he's like, I don't know how you this and I don't know how you that. And as he was talking, I was like, God, because it's true. And I always talk about traveling light. I like to travel lightly, meaning I don't like things to weigh me down. I don't allow things to weigh me down. I don't allow people's perceptions, opinions, and what they got to say move me because I know where I'm grounded. I know where I get my grounding from. I know where I can lay those things down and it not affect me in a way where I'm up all night. People who know me for real in real life, in real life, know I love my sleep. And that's one thing people can't do. They can't sleep at night because they're up wrestling. They're up, thinking about things that are out of their control. They're thinking about where the next check gonna come from. They're just thinking about all these things. And so I played that because, like he said, a lot of people don't have a place where they can be emotionally real. There's not a lot of men really going to church like that anymore. You have men, we talk about it on these panels where it's just like, oh, I don't know if I can really be vulnerable with my girl like that. I don't know if I can really talk to her about all these things. So I wanted to play that to get you guys' perspective on it and to see what you think about it and to see where you can be emotionally real, because I think this is a real thing. And in relationships, we talked about that first clip about them having a pandemic love, a pandemic type of love. And I think after the pandemic messed up love for a lot of people. They got to get the train back on the track. You know what I mean? Because they said, look, can't nobody go to work. Y'all got to stay in. And people went crazy. They didn't know how to cohabitate anymore. They didn't know how to talk anymore. They didn't know how to be vulnerable. They didn't know how to be hot anymore because they just felt as though, somebody threw a monkey wrench in their plans. So I wanted to play that. If you guys want me to play it over, I will. But I wanted to get your perspective on what he said about being emotionally, not having a place to be emotionally real. So who wants to go at it first?
I jump in.
Okay.
I jump on it. Tonto, jump on it. Jump on it. All right. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly that that place to be emotionally real, like he put it, and like I said in my thesis when I came in, a lawyer. Like there's some people who you should be honest with. One is your doctor. The other is your spiritual advisor. The other is your lawyer. And it's that availability. Again, your best interest is at heart. You do not have to second guess. And if you have that person to unload off on, that significant other, that wife, that husband, this is why we preach that they're so important, because they innately have your best interests at heart. You do not have to second guess if she's going in the safe and leaving because y'all don't have anything that unifies y'all and going on to the next dude to do it to him. And that's all we saying is as men, we protect ourselves. And again, just having that place to dump emotionally, spiritually, and so on and so forth is an advantage more than a disadvantage. Absolutely. And I think the last thing I would say about that is the maturity that it takes to recognize that you have someone that valuable. You should be able to, reciprocate. You should be able to express and give them kudos for being that rock to lean on, for being that person. So great clip, great subject. Appreciate you, Sugar Crush, all day.
No problem. No problem. Sean, did you want to go next?
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say big up to Dr. Darius Daniels, who's one of my spiritual advisors as well. And I
Mm-hmm.
follow his church. I've never been there directly, but I've been following his church for over 3 or 4 years. Right prior to the
Pandemic.
pandemic, and he's a great man of wisdom, and he simplifies a lot of some of our spiritual challenges and life challenges. So big up to Dr. Darius Daniel. If y'all don't follow him, y'all really should.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, I heard it. I listened to it on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as and that's just one of the
I
nuggets
know, just one, right?
one of the nuggets that he planted. And so it's too much to really unpack, but he always drives us and challenges us to be more in tune with spiritual um our spiritual challenges. As a matter of fact, from him today I heard, our heart is our soul. And we often in life have a lot of heart attacks.
Mm-hmm.
We endure a lot of heart attacks. Heart attacks meaning not in the sense that we're familiar with, but attacks on our heart, which is attacks on our soul. He said one is commission, which is it happens to our heart, um, and it shouldn't have. That is something that is commission, something that has happened to us. And then there's omission, things that happen that we don't pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And it causes the same reaction, a heart attack, because our attack is hearted. And once our heart is attacked, we have a tendency to guard it, as he was just describing. And that guarding is what really puts us at a disadvantage, because we're now, as he said last week, I'm quoting him all day. He said, some of us build a fence and some of us build a wall. The
Mm-hmm.
difference between the wall and the fence is that the
It's a gate.
wall, no one can come in or out of. The
Right.
fence, you can allow people to come into or out of. And we often, because our heart is attacked and we're hurt, we build a wall, especially us men. We build the wall. I won't even say especially, because women are just as guilty of doing
Mm-hmm.
it too. But that wall hurts us from being able to receive what can be beneficial to us, and it puts us in a disadvantaged state. And so, what he was speaking about today in that clip kind of embodies all of this. And I think that we do need to be a little bit more emotionally responsible in reference to how we're feeling and what we're feeling, in order to be able to address it. Lastly, I will say, uh, uh, we have to be able to identify. Hold on. We have to be able to identify. We can't fix badness until we address brokenness. And we have a lot of badness that we identify and we can recognize clearly, but we can't ever get a resolution simply because we don't get to the root of the brokenness. So where did we get hurt? And so yeah, we do have to practice that a little bit further and a little bit better. And having these conversations is a platform and an opportunity to do so. So I thank you again, Precious, for giving us this opportunity to speak man to man and being able to share some of these thoughts, and definitely for sharing Dr. Darius with us, because fellas, again, if you don't follow him, you will enjoy. You should really try and follow him. He's a not only a spiritual leader, but he's a intellectual as well.
He a real one. He a real one. He a
Absolutely.
real one. I only follow
So
the real ones.
I I
Sean,
I, I,
Sean,
I
can I
look.
ask you a clarifying question? Can I ask you a question about what you just said, Mayor?
Sean, yeah.
All right. Brokenness. because if a person refuses to believe that they're broken, or what appears to be broken to you is actually safe for me, um, my aggression is my protection. Where you might see it as, dude, just let people in. Don't be so fearful. Don't be afraid. So, for based on what you said, I just wanted to ask, what would you suggest for people who they may not grasp that piece of broken, and even if 10 people said it to them, they would still think those 10 people just don't understand them. And probably the biggest piece is because, and I'm going into my theatrics now, you don't want to hear my shit. Like, what do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to tell you? That my mom got drunk and fucked up? You want me to tell you how my dad let his boys do whatever to me? You want me to tell you how the crackhead had what do you and then check it out. Even if I tell you all that shit, like, are you gonna fix it? No. So for the people who are like, there's no need for me to talk about it, no need for me to address it, and no need for me to find a safe space to fix my brokenness. Just take me as I am. And it's your problem if you can't deal with who I am. So I just, for the people who think that way, any suggestions based on what you were talking about brokenness?
Absolutely. First suggestion is if you ask a question, allow somebody to answer it. Don't answer it yourself. Because if you could recognize that you're broken and you can fix it yourself, we wouldn't have be having a discussion at all. So you have to be able to accept that point of view. And if you're not able to accept it just yet, then hopefully in time or with through maturity, you will be able to. And I can't answer it other than surrendering to the Lord, as Precious said earlier. That's my only that's my where I find peace because I know it's bigger than me. And so when I have challenges of things that I can't answer, I automatically retreat to asking the Lord for some guidance, and that guidance can come from odd places, and that's what I have to be able to allow in my life. And as they say, let go and let God. I'm a firm believer in, but many people aren't, and that's part of where we have challenges, if you ask my opinion. But how can I convince somebody to have faith who is always worried? Those are absolute contradictions of one another. With
Well,
faith, you worries.
like Darius was also saying, I can't add in what God left out. Like sometimes you got to let people go through their seasons. You have to let people go through the things that are supposed to break them actually. That sometimes like there are things that are supposed to break us so we get to that point where we're thirsty and we're crying out for change, for God, for elevation from that lowest point where we are in life. So sometimes you just got to sit back and see how somebody else reacts to that. But I just wanted to add that to what Sean was saying,
Mhm.
because Darius Daniels was saying that you can't add in what God left out. God got to keep working with that person.
And right, I'm glad you
Mhm.
you said that, Precious, because I didn't want to plagiarize Darius as much as I'm using him right now. But
Mhm.
yeah, he
So kind of
definitely.
hit rock bottom. They might have to hit rock bottom.
Yes,
But to
yes.
give you a clear example, and this is from A.R. Bernard, my other pastor that I follow. He gave an analogy of a butterfly being in a cocoon. And what he said is that often we see that cocoon and we see something struggling within that cocoon. And our innate response is that we want to help that butterfly out of that cocoon. And sometimes we go ahead and we do that. We go ahead and we help to say, oh, poor butterfly, and we crack open the cocoon and we let the butterfly out. And then what happens is the butterfly spreads his wings and he withers to the ground and dies, because that struggle is what was strengthening those wings for in order for the butterfly to fly. And we sometimes have to allow that butterfly to go through that process in a cocoon, because what we think is struggle and what we want to be helpful to is sometimes not our place. And to Precious and I example and Darius example, we have to let go and let God at those points and be mature enough. And that's what I'm working on, is being mature enough to be able to recognize when that is taking place, which is difficult for me.
Okay. So Diedrich, how about you? When can you be emotionally real? Speaking to what the clip, excuse me. You might have to turn your speaker back on.
I just wanted to add, yeah, I just wanted to add one thing to what you both said. Was that you have to also people have to participate in their own rescue. A lot of times we want more for other people than they want for themselves sometimes. And just like you guys touched on, sometimes they're just not ready. Sometimes they're just not at the point where they can see themselves um, rescuing themselves because they don't have enough strength, confidence. It could be any number. Sometimes, but people have to be allowed to participate in their own rescue because if you keep saving people, keep running to people's rescue, and like he said, you opening the cocoon before the butterfly could open the cocoon. It's not going to work. For me to feel safe, going back to what your question is, I need to see proof that that person can handle the little things. Because a lot of the times you can't just spring big stuff on people. You can't just spring heavy stuff on people because a lot of people can't handle it themselves. So, and then on top of that, if someone has a track record of being there for you, they have a track record of being that safe house for the information you've already given them. It's only then that I can open up and be as transparent as I want to be with that person because they have a track record of showing me that they're capable of handling the information that I give them. I just don't go out here just randomly, recklessly, just giving out information. That's not going to be smart. But if like the friends that I call my true friends, they have a track record with me. They've been tested and proven. The same way they look at me. When they talk to me, I'm like a brick wall. Brick walls don't talk to nobody else. You know what I'm saying? So they don't have to worry about any of their secrets escaping or any of their transparency getting out. Or if I get upset, oh, I'm going to spill all of the beans of what they told me. I don't have to worry about that with them either. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to transparency, I have to feel safe enough with you with the little information, with the little transparency that I've given you. And the way you handle that information is going to tell me whether or not you're someone who's safe enough for me to share further information or to open up further with them because I'm big on trust. And if you betray my trust, you don't got to ever worry about it again. I'm not going to treat you terrible or anything like that, but that section of me is locked away. You're not getting to that section anymore because you've proven.
It sounds like somebody vacuuming. Let me see.
But you've proven that you can't handle that. So for me, that's one thing that I'm big on. I'm big on trust. I'm big on that kind of thing because if you can't handle the little things that I give you, why the devil am I going to open up further and you mistreat what I've given you or you mistreat the bigger things because it's only going to be a disaster. So that's how I look at that.
Okay. I
How was
think that's
this?
you, King. I think it's you.
Damn. All right, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it sounds
fix
like we in
that.
a car wash
Yeah.
getting the vacuum out the back seat. I wanted to ask you a question, Dietrich. So you talked about, having trust with your friends and your friends can trust you. Do you have a personal, um, let's just say a personal practice of yours where you're able to be emotionally real? Like Pastor Darius Daniels was saying in the clip, and talking about the Psalms and how, it's written how David felt in the Psalms. He wrote it down how he wished some folks wasn't alive and how that raw truth, that real truth on how he was feeling, and he was able to get it down, write it down, and now it's off his chest on a piece of paper, and he don't got to worry about it anymore. Do you have a personal practice of being emotionally real with yourself? And I'm going to ask all the guys can answer that, but I wanted to ask you that since you talked about that trust that you have with other people. I wanted to know, do you have a practice that you do with yourself to be emotionally real?
I have what I call I have to get out of my own way,
Hmm.
come to Jesus moments, because sometimes if say for instance if I talk to my lady and she tells me something that she's noticed, right, and what I have to do in that moment, I can't sit there and dismiss or deflect what she said, especially if I know within myself is true. So what I have to do is what I do is I kind of make sure I have a list. So certain things that I'm made aware of, I write that down because that's
Okay.
something I need to work on. But what I have to do for each one of those things is I write down a step by step actionable thing that I need to do to make sure that particular behavior is erased or minimized at the very least, because I'm not allowed. And when I say I'm not allowed, I mean, for me, I don't allow myself to stay stuck on a particular behavior pattern that I need to fix. It's about being personally accountable to myself.
Hmm.
So if that takes me having to write it down in my notebook, having to, just kind of have a moment for myself to kind of reflect on what it is that's going wrong, why it's going wrong, because I have to ask myself 5 whys for any of the issues that's going on or any problem that's going on. And once you ask yourself why 5 times, you tend to get to the root of what's going on. So for me, I try to make sure I'm being honest with myself first and foremost, because there's not anything that's going to change if you don't um, make a honest reflection of yourself and figure out, okay, what can I do better? Okay, was I wrong for saying it this way, or was I wrong for doing XYZ? What more or what better can I do to prevent this from happening in the future? So there's a series of questions I have to ask myself, and and that's how I try to keep myself moving forward in the right direction. It's just first of all being accountable to me.
Hmm. Okay. Scam likely. When can you be emotionally real? And do you have a personal practice of being emotionally real with yourself?
Yes. When can I? Honestly, whenever I want to. I got people I can call, got people I can talk to, people with solutions, people with can have real conversations. If I'm out of line, people's gonna tell me the truth.
Hmm.
Because people who know me know I'm looking for actual answer. People who know me know I got good intentions, so they can, I can have those real conversations. I put it that way. What
Okay.
was the other part of the question?
Do you have a personal practice of being emotionally real with yourself?
Yes. Um, Hard to explain like in words, but it is what it is. You got to go through what you got to go through. This
Hmm.
is what it is.
Hmm.
But what I do see, there are people who don't have that.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, the place that I see I'm going to, the scanosphere.
You
And
say the scammers, the
they come
scammers
over to the
sphere?
scanosphere and it gets worse. Then the talking point mafia gets a hold of them. If you protect and provide, and if you're a high value man, and 33.6% of men are only sexually and childless, and then they become that, and it gets worse. Then it becomes a whole organization, the talking point mafia. I come up and troll them, and they can't handle it. Then they have an emotional breakdown, and I got to log. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Okay. Hank, when can you be emotionally real? And do you have a practice of being emotionally real with yourself?
I mean, I think daily. You have to mostly be real with yourself daily. I
Hmm.
mean, you waste your time trying to lie to yourself what's going on with you. It's not gonna go away. Can't sweep it under the rug. You still gonna have to address it. It's all about, I guess, when you actually want to address it. To me, I think you need to address it as soon as possible. Don't rip the band-aid off. Ain't no need of slow walking it. You wasting your goddamn time with that.
Mhm.
Uh, as far as being emotional with other people, uh, you shouldn't share anything that you're not comfortable with that you haven't already dealt with, and you want to be express your new vulnerabilities with people you can trust and that you have they have shown that you can handle you being vulnerable with. So, like my lady, that she needs to be one of my main ones. I need to be able to be comfortable and vulnerable with. If I can't be vulnerable with you, I'm not going to be with you. If I can't be vulnerable with the individual, then there's no way I'm gonna marry her. I'm not gonna bless her with my last name. I'll be wasting my time because I'm gonna have moments where I'm not 110%. I'm coming in at 15%, man, and then this shit ain't fun. It's not sexy. It's not entertaining at all. Nothing about it. You just in a place, right? Whatever you dealing with, whether it's with family, your kids, maybe it's the actual relationship you in right now. You got to be able to be share that with your lady. But you also got, like my man said, I shared this on many times before, man. You gotta give a woman a test. Again, share something that that's not major, but like something that you already deal with. You share it with her. Make sure she don't tell all the little friends, little tacky buddies, and all of a sudden they look at you crazy and differently at the next gathering. Because if they do, they'll let you know where somebody opened their goddamn mouth and it wasn't me. Now you need to make some adjustments. You can either leave her ass at a restaurant, or you can call on it. If you ever do this bullshit again, you won't. You might not live to tell about it. I'm about to feed you to the pigs.
All right. So for the men on the panel, what's the next steps then? What do you do when that's been um uh stepped on, like, and you're inside of a marriage? Let's say you've gotten to the point to where you're past dating somebody, you've been real with somebody, you're in a marriage now with a wife, and that person betrays that trust. What's the next steps?
Well, hopefully, if you marry her, she won't do that. But in case, like you said, she does, we're gonna have to have a hard conversation, man. Why did this happen? Who did you feel that comfortable with to tell my business, not your business, but my business? I share that in confidence with you to let you know what I had to deal with, what I had to go through. You know what I'm saying? The ups and downs and the dark places that I was in at that time period. I didn't want you to go sharing it with your mother. It's none of your goddamn mother's business. Now, if you talk to a therapist about it because you don't have the answers to try to help me, I can respect and understand that, right? Because you got rules and regulations you got to follow as far as confidentiality. But you talking to your sister girl in the choir after practice, yeah, that's a problem. So we need to address this. This has to be the last time, or this will be the last time, if you know what I mean. Because now I'm done sharing with you because I can't trust you. I can't believe in you. I can't rely on you no more. And that's not a good place to be in there with your man.
Yeah, I was gonna also say, just kind of adding on with that, just to open yourself up and kind of give your deepest thoughts and ideas, to have those to be kind of distributed amongst people outside of your home. I think, to me, it shows a lack of respect. Um, and for me, respect is number one. When respect isn't there, then you really have nothing to build on. I think that one's thoughts and ideas and downturns of what should stay in the home, basically. like I said, it's just time for me to go at that point. There's no more respect. So
I want to challenge that word, just the word, not Mark Hussein, but the word. If you ask 5 people that you trust the definition of respect, I bet my Bears tickets you get at least 3 to 4 different answers. A lot of people go into relationships saying they want to respect each other, but they have 2 totally different answers or definitions on what respect means. And if you're the type where I feel like you're unapproachable, if you're the type where I actually honor that space, you're a manly man or whatever, any of those terms, out of respect to that space, I don't have these conversations with you, but I feel safer having these conversations this way, not realizing the potential consequences that it has to you. But it was with the intent to do well. It was with the intent for even me to get support. So when I think about those people who are out gossiping or talking, I encourage them to find ways to get support that they feel they can't get from me, but not through the neighbor, not through the church person, not through like whatever professional support that you need so you can stay within whatever frame that I need you to be in so I could feel safe.
well, just kind of just address that one part. I'll just say this: in the case of being a spouse, before you even get to a point, she would know what my definition of respect would be.
Yeah. But would that change? A lot of people forget in relationships it's very fluid. We didn't have gray hair when we started the relationship. Now I have gray hair. I used to be able to do this in a relationship. Now I don't. We did not experience that in day one. Some people will even tell you you need to have your stuff in order before getting married. But there's stuff that will come up that you've never experienced in life. And when that stimuli hits, it's different. It's like a conversation at 2 p.m. versus 2 a.m. It's like a client that comes to see me, a couple. I'm sorry, I love you, and I love you too. And I didn't mean to call you a fat bitch, and I didn't mean to call you little dick. Boom. All that sounds wonderful at 2 p.m. But when I haul off to you and say, you fat bitch at 2 a.m., you little dick, at 2, it lands differently. Just like 10 years later when we're dealing with the first death in the family. I ain't never dealt with that before. I've been crying about our son and crying about our daughter, but the feeling for this crying about a death, that's different. Why don't you trust me? Look at me. That grieving is different than a movie. Why are you looking at me? You gotta look at me. That's a different type of grieving than we're talking about death of a family. So my point is, keep in mind these emotions are fluid. And what we were able to talk about 5 years ago, even 3 months ago, may not be the same for me. So I have to constantly work with you to understand where I'm at psychologically and mentally and all those things.
Indeed. For me, I would attack it from a different approach, though. I would say standards. I think that's where your standards lie. Like you said, you a sports player. I am as well. And what would you do if your teammate betrayed you? If your teammate, you would have a certain approach. You would have a certain way that you handle that. And I don't think it's any different because that's what we ultimately are as a family. We're a team. We're aspiring for a greater goal, greater than ourselves. And, it's a lot of competition within the team, but yet we still have a collective goal. And I think that's the difference, that it's about your standards and what you're willing to take. And if you don't want the mistrust, then don't allow it. If you continue to allow it, they're going to continue to do it. And when we don't draw those lines, when we don't display that emotional intelligence that we're not going to stand for X, Y, and Z, that's when, we get treated differently. But for Precious's question, before I get out of here, I think that me personally, I have a place to dump because I have a brother. He's 11 years older than me, so he's kind of like a father figure. So I do my emotional, dumping there. But where I practice it, Precious, is my share button, my personal Facebook page, because this is nothing new. What I'm spewing is not a talking point. It's the truth. It's the way I've been feeling forever because I'm a man. I'm going to tell you something that I put up 12 years ago, Precious. 12 years ago. It says only one man in 1,000 is a leader of men. The other 99 follow women. Groucho Marx. That was 12 years ago. So again, y'all can say that these are talking points and y'all are Kevin Samuel clones, but no. This is what it is. Some men are of a certain quality and other men are not. And all we saying is do that with the men you can do it with. But when you come to men like me and Hank and Dr. Nakumbe, just chill. Stay in your lane, and play your position. Nobody crashes. Everybody remains safe. And that's all we saying is that, as long as men remain men and women remain women, everything is fine. It's when we start to try to blur those lines and disobey the rules and step outside ourselves is when all of the confusion starts. Again, thank you for having me, Precious. You have one of the most amazing platforms, and it's always a pleasure coming over here. Shout out to Hank, shout out to Dr. Nakumbe, shout out to Scam, shout out to all my brothers, man. I appreciate y'all and the honesty that y'all bring, man. It teaches me a lot. It gives me a lot of information to move forward, to be a better brother, to be a better husband, to be a better friend, to be a better cousin. And I just want to let y'all know that I appreciate y'all immensely.
Thank you, Mr. He said,
Love you,
and I
brother.
see you, Mrs. She
Thank you,
said, in
son.
the building. Thank you, guys. Please follow their platform. They give it to you real straight, uncut, raw as well over there. So definitely follow Mr. He said, Mrs. She said as well on YouTube. I believe the channels were dropped earlier by the mods, but I appreciate that. Um, all right. So, who hasn't gone? When can you be emotionally real? And do you have a practice to be of being emotionally real with
Mm.
yourself?
I kind of answered on someone else's, but I just wanted to add
Mhm.
one of the not solutions, one of the practices. Start noticing where these emotions hit, because I told
Mhm.
you it's fluid. If you notice before, you never cried. You watched the movie E.T. He's like, man, that little punk, let him die. But now, if you watch E.T., you're all in tears. You watch the dog commercial for 79 cents, and little dog is shaking and stuff, and you find yourself. Or if you go to a movie, one of these military movies, and it's about team, and every time you hear something about team, you get emotional. Start tracking what these emotions are and when they hit. Because if I believe I'm emotionally strong, and if I believe it's my job to make sure I always present strong, but I don't know where it seeps out at, start paying attention. If first time someone says it, it might be an incident. Second time, it might be a coincidence. But third time and more, it's a pattern. You always seem to act like a little whatever when we're doing so and so and so and so. Start to listen. And as someone said earlier, be open. And then when you feel safe to those conversations, hey, babe, can I talk to you? Like three people at work, and even my boy said the other day, and it's just interesting because you said a couple of times, can I talk to you about that? I'm starting to notice a pattern and have those conversations. Hink, on your show, I hear you at the end of your show, get your medical stuff checked, get your so and so, get your so and so. So what are we doing psychologically to check that out? It might be a therapist session, or it might be just you and your woman saying, hey, let's talk, let's check in. Do we have family meetings once a month? Do we have whatever, where we're just checking in with each other? I've been noticing you ever since you were on that medication, you've been acting grouchy. Really? Only to find out one of the side effects to this medication from a blood pressure was moodiness or tiredness. So again, one of the things you can do is start to track when these emotions are popping up so you can have those conversations.
Wow, that's some good stuff. And
Mhm.
to add on to that, what do I do to practice is, for example, I have a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, and she, and I speak honest, open, and transparency, and she gets very frustrated with me because she says, "Sean, you're not transparent." And I was honest with her and said, "Nah, I'm not transparent with you. The reason being is because
Mm.
you are too transparent with everyone.
Mm.
You speak very openly about everything, which I can respect, and I don't have any issue with you doing that. I just know that my information that I don't want to share with the world, if I share it with you, I acknowledge that it's being shared with the world. So there's certain things that I don't share with you specifically, and I'm discreet about. So I'm not being transparent. I'm just being very honest with the fact that your openness is too open for what information I want to share. And when it's not, or if you change that pattern, and that was just me looking at her share her information with me, her family, and different scenario to where I'm like, yo, you sometimes are too open in reference with your information. And I can commend it because she's very open, but I'm like, there's a discipline that comes along with honest, open, and transparency. That a respect level that comes along with it that a lot of people don't always pay attention to or take into consideration. And
Mm.
so, to Dr. Nakumbe's point, you have to look at those patterns, and if you see something that compromises your comfort, you then create the barrier, or you create the timing for it. But you don't have to be. You could be very open. You could be very honest about it. I was very honest to her. Like, yeah, I am not completely transparent with you, and this is the reason why. I don't want you to change who you are because I respect who you are. I just can't share that information unless I'm prepared to, because I
Hmm.
know at that point it's public information.
It's about to be whispered down the
Hmm.
line, and
Sean, do you have any responses to when you hear you act like you don't trust me?
Uh, do I have any responses
I
when
mean,
I
because
hear
it's.
you?
I imagine you would hear that out of that conversation you just talked about. I imagine someone
Oh,
saying, "You don't trust me."
well, I haven't heard that because I'm very clear and open about. I trust you. I just don't. You're not responsible with the information in the manner that I would prefer. So it's not that I don't trust you, because I wouldn't be having this open conversation and honest
Right.
conversation with you if I
If I
didn't
didn't.
trust you.
Hmm.
But I just don't. Your value, what you value, and what I value are two different values, and I respect your value, but I need you to respect mine as well. And if you can't respect it in the same way that I respect mine, then I can't share that info or offer that information to you, because as far as I'm concerned, you're not mature enough to embrace and respect what it is that I ask of you.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm. I just want to challenge
And
the ladies that might be in the audience listening. At what point do you feel not heard? Meaning, I'm trying to help you, but you're not letting me in. I'm trying to help you, but whatever you just said, Sean, I know you don't trust. I mean, you act like and blah blah blah. I'm trying to help because men, I think we get to a point where like what part didn't you understand? We're not going to have that conversation, or I don't feel safe, or this is not a good. It's not for you to hear. You're not my therapist, and so I think one of the battles is that a lot of women feel like I'm trying and you won't let me in. You claim I'm your woman. You claim I'm your helpmate.
Mm,
You claim I'm
mm,
your wife. You claim
mm,
that you trust me. You claim I have value. You'll fuck me, but you won't talk to me.
mm.
You claim. When the man is like, you know what, you're doing too much because I wasn't ready to have this conversation. Doesn't mean I'm not willing to have the conversation.
It's real simple. Uh,
Mm.
I'm uh, there's certain things that you're just not mature enough for, and you have to
right,
be able to accept that. And
right.
speaking, I am talking with you. I'm actually talking with you, telling you something that you might not agree with, but I am communicating. So it's not, I don't open up to you. I'm being very open, but you can't receive it that way is the reason why I'm reluctant.
Yep.
I think and what Sean said was very profound because the men are speaking. They are saying what they have to say. It just may not be what she wants to hear. And what I would say in that case is there are going to be times where it may seem like you are trying to You know, in that in those dreams where you're like falling and you could feel it, but you can't really stop yourself, and then you wake up and you're like, like you don't die in your dreams or something like that. Like it could feel like that's how women feel when they're trying to get to their men. Like they feel like they're not able to reach them. They feel like they're not able to, you know, get inside their minds and explore what they want to explore. And what I would say with that is, especially if you're in a relationship and especially a marriage, because my parents are married, but my parents also, are religious. And one thing that I saw with my mom was she didn't get frustrated when she couldn't get to my dad. She didn't get mad or, off her center. That's when my mom would pray more. That's when she would really get, do her emotional, personal emotional realness. That's probably where I learned it from, where you have to just take your time to yourself and let go and let God handle him. If you are doing that with pure intention, then God will do what he needs to do. But there are just some things as women that we can't control when it comes to men. And that vault and those things that we want them to talk about and we want to pull out of them, if you're not able to move him in a certain way at a certain time, you have to be patient. Love is patient, right? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is long suffering. Love don't take tally of wrongs. So it's part of that being patient. It's part of that, letting God work on that individual while you're still cheering him on, while you're still in his corner supporting him. So that's what I would say to the women. Sometimes you just have to be patient. It's not all about your time and when you want it and how you want it and what you want him to say and what you want him to say to you to make you feel better when he living in the pits of hell and can't even get up in the morning or don't even feel like getting up in the morning to provide, but he do it anyway. Sometimes you just got to be patient.
Can I say you said something a very profound word as well, and you said patience, but let me tap into something else that I heard. Control. When you can't control it, sometimes you have to identify you're controlling, and you can't be controlling and live up to that let go, let God, and pray and think that that's going to help when in fact you still are trying to control the narrative, trying to control the outcome. So we have a lot of people who pray, but they're still trying to control, and that to me is something that is a something that's glossed over often, and many of us are guilty of it. But if we can't recognize it, our prayers go unanswered simply because we're not really having faith, which is allowing it to let go and surrendering yourself to something bigger than yourself.
That's true, and that's why I say you have to have true intention. Your intention has to be pure. You can't say, God, well, why he ain't talking to me? Make him talk to me. I don't mean like that. I mean just being patient in the fact of, in his own timing, you do it because I can't do it. You know what I mean? In his own timing, work on him. And I'ma just be patient. I think that you do have to have a level of maturity, to know that sometimes you just have to be patient. I mean, it's part of the highs and lows of being in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Well,
to you have to have that patience.
Precious, I was going to ask you, but I think
And I want
I'll be able to role play it better if it's to the
to.
men. But I was just going to ask for those women that say, you knew me before we got together.
Hmm.
You knew my style. You knew my level of my ability to encourage you, to motivate you, to love you, to support you, to be there for you. And the same way you feel like if you don't have a sense of purpose, you feel like this is not a good relationship for you. And I wonder when you rob, steal, cheat me, uh, stunt my growth and opportunity to support you in this way, how do I get a sense of purpose for the relationship? So I wonder for the So I was going to flip it and say, Precious, how do you what's a good response do you think for men to say to women, or guys, what do you think when your woman is asking you and pouring out to you in a very respectful way that I get a sense of purpose in being your partner, being your pillar of strength when you're weak, but you won't let me in, and I don't feel purpose.
I mean, I personally think that it comes to where transparency starts with accountability, because there's a reason why that man or that person won't open up. There's a reason. I don't think you can start with saying, okay, why won't you open up? Okay, that's a legitimate question, but you gotta first get to the root of the situation. Because if you don't get to the root, okay, well, what makes you not be able to open up towards to me? What makes you not be able to do this kind of stuff? Because if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers most of the time. And a lot of the times when it comes to men, like I had a situation yesterday that spilled over into today, and on a separate post, where the man was expressing himself about how he affected his wife to the point to where she was able to live in her more in her femininity, and just be back to her soft self, relaxed, and gave her a particular level of peace. And some of the women took the narrative way left, and just it didn't matter how many women and men told her or told those particular women, this is exactly what he meant. They deflected, they dismissed it, they pushed their own narratives. So it's the same things. Like what Hink said before, we're going to have a direct conversation. We're going to have a very intentional and very serious conversation about why you betrayed my trust. Because if I'm pouring out and I'm telling you my real information, there's a reason I only told you. So if you're going to turn around and then go back and say, oh, you tell whomever, I don't care if it's your girlfriend, I don't care if it's your sister, I don't care who you told, you weren't supposed to tell anybody anything that I
Well, I'm
told
not
you.
perfect, Derek. I'm not perfect, okay? I'm not like them other little floozies you were with before. I'm sorry for trying to help.
Okay, well, here's the deal. Did you hear me say anything
Right.
about you being perfect? No. When I
Ah,
married you,
right.
when I married you, were either one of us perfect? When we got
No,
into the
but it seems
relationship,
like that's what you want now.
say again.
No, but it just seems like that's what you want now.
Okay, is that what I said? See, you don't get to take what you think and implant it into what I'm actually saying. What you need to start doing, and which would be very, very helpful in this situation, is start listening to what I'm actually saying to you. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. So I would
Mm.
appreciate it if you do not assume to know what I said if I didn't say it. I'm very, very, very intentional about that. So if I didn't say it, don't assume. Now, if in your head you're thinking I'm thinking it, ask the question. So are you saying blah, 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 blah? Don't sit there and assume that I'm saying one thing, because I'm very, very purposeful about my communication to you. Now, if there's something that you need to ask me, open your mouth like you do any other time about everything else, and ask me a very real question so I can give you a very real and direct answer. So if you're not willing to do that, then we need to have a conversation about where we're going from this point. Am I clear?
Woo. Yes, Daddy. So it sounds like you are saying that I'm messing with you, but it sounds like I was overthinking. It sounds like I
Yes,
was personalizing
yes,
and assuming.
yes. And that's one of the biggest problems in the communication between men and women, is because you come up with all these assumptions, you come up with all this stuff that you're having a real conversation in your own head, and you're agreeing with yourself, and then when it comes out, we're sitting here like, what are you talking about? I didn't say
And
anything that you just said.
in fairness, I want to ask this to you, Precious, because maybe you can enlighten us from a woman's standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that women don't listen because when they're having trouble doing so, not all women, because they hear so much nonsense from men over the course of their life that they don't really know how to determine or listen to or identify realness?
No, I believe is they just don't actively listen. And actively listening doesn't mean that you already have what you want to say triggered up. You know, actively listening is like Dietrich was saying, if you're not understanding what is being said, are you asking to for him to clarify what he is saying? Are you asking for understanding? Are you dedicated to misunderstanding him? And I think a lot of times women are dedicated to misunderstanding what is being said, so they're not held accountable for not actively listening to what is being said.
Wow, you see how you just answered that? That's why we all adore you. That right there.
Well, you
And,
asked the
and, and
question.
man, I wish there was a lot more women who could actually listen to this. Because when we say what you just said, it becomes we're attacking them. It
Well, sure,
becomes
because I'm attacking
right.
them too. Like, I get the same response. Like I'm attacking. But I mean, real is real, you know, and those who fight against that is just hindering their own growth. But you have to take things for what they are. You have to see them for what they are. You got to be real about it because like I say at the end of every show, if you're not real with yourself, you can't be real with others. There's no way you can be comfortable with other people if you're not comfortable in your own skin. So I honestly think it's just the active listening is just not there. And I always say I've always been in settings where people are telling me what to do. So I have to listen. Even now with work, we're going through a whole bunch of changes. I have to listen. I have to know what's going on so I can, produce. Because if not, they're gonna be like, "Were you not listening? Did you not get the emails? Are you not participating here?" So it's active listening that is the number one thing that needs to take place. Because like Dietrich was saying, it's like, no, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. And so it's a lot of interpretation rather than revelation when it comes to conversation with men and women.
And you're an MC. Look at that.
All righty. So who hasn't King? I think you were having mic issues. I think we're good now.
Yeah, but I don't really have anything of value to add that already hasn't been discussed.
Hmm. But okay, so what about your personal practice of being emotionally real with yourself? Do you have one of those? Do you journal? Do you wake up early in the morning and sip on some coffee and do, reflect? I don't know. What is a practice that you may have where you're able to emotionally be real with yourself?
I've got my homies that I tap in with that we've had a bond that's been forged over time. Like for example, I was in the Air Force. A lot of my closest friends are veterans. um I had a homie through a different channel had canceled on something, and he had said that he had got hurt or whatnot.
Mhm.
So when you have a real close homie like that, some of the times when you reach out to him, the first thing that you want to do is kind of crack a joke or something and be like, "Hey man, so what part of your vagina got hurt that caused you to do XYZ?" Like that's how we rib on each other, right? But outside of that ribbon on each other, I have people that I can kind of bounce things off of just to see if I'm tripping about something or not. And on time to time I'll do that. uh
Mhm.
outside outside of that, kind of similar to what Scam had said, it's like it's really hard for me to describe the rest of it. It just kind of, I just kind of do what I do.
Okay. All righty. Did we get everybody in there? Hank, I think you went. Mark, did I get everybody? I don't want to miss anybody. I know people were dropping in and out. You guys have
No,
rearranged the squares a little bit.
I mean, I didn't go, but just kind of
Okay.
I think with just a combination of what everybody else was saying as far as knowing when, but knowing when, some of the key traits and characteristics of opening myself up. But some of the practices I probably do is a self check, self awareness. Be willing to just pretty much be willing to listen. Sometimes I can, as men, we can kind of not well, be offended by some things that may, or some feedback.
Mhm.
Just expect anything at the time and not be so offended. So it really starts with myself to condition myself to expect a response that I may not like. So for me, that will be my practice. Other than that, the other part of the question, I would definitely say I don't know any other things to subscribe to um say on that point. I think everybody pretty much covered it.
Mhm. Yeah. Everybody was on it tonight. Everybody was on it tonight. I really appreciate you guys. We're going to go into final thoughts and then we're going to get out of here. But again, I appreciate you guys for spending your time here. All those who are in the building watching, the people in the chat, thank you guys so much. I appreciate those who have been sending cash apps. I really do. If you guys do want to support the channel, it's Michelle 1500, Michele 1500. But we're gonna start with final thoughts, and we'll start with Sean, and then we'll go around.
Okay. Uh, my final thoughts, man. We tapped on a lot of things today, and the summary of what I gathered from it is what you close with, and being hot, honest, open, and transparent. Thank you for sharing that with me because I did adopt it from you,
Mhm.
or borrowed it from you. And but I've been really working on it, and bringing it more substantial in my life, and designing it around in a way that it works for me, and being able to share it. The one thing that we was just discussing, that is a final thought, is identify the patterns. And when you see the patterns, uh, don't be afraid to embrace what you see. In other words, if someone might not be ready to receive something, as we would just, as I gave the example with the cocoon, you might need to allow them to struggle a little before you try to help them out of that cocoon. If you see them struggling, and not really embracing what it is that can be helpful to them, because you can't help somebody who, as uh, Pastor Darius Daniel said, you can't help somebody who, one, does not want your help, two, does not recognize that they need help. I won't go into all of the numbers, but if you're interested, I'll share the link with you of that sermon from Sunday that we were making references to. But the point is that you can't force your help. Sometimes you got to let go and let God. And I am not God is something that I've been told several times, and I believe it and I understand it now better than ever. And I'm going to embrace the fact that you're right. And so my compassion for being helpful is not gonna overshadow the wisdom that I'm learning to let go and let God.
Yeah, that's right. All righty. Is that gonna come back?
Yeah. Actually, I don't have much because I've been kind of adding in throughout the show. There's two more areas, and I'm not, again, this is not being funny. Remember the work that I do, so I'm coming from a clinical perspective. The two more things I want you to consider, men, when we're trying to figure out what are these emotions that I'm not tapping into. Look at what you eat, the type of food that you eat, when you eat, especially if you are an emotional eater. And here's the part that, again, I'm not being funny. For those of you who self soothe and take care of yourself, look at the themes that you're watching. Oftentimes, men are seeking certain themes, certain intimacy needs, certain emotional needs through the themes of what you watch to get your intimacy needs. So if you're watching Corn or any of these stories, notice what you look for. Do you look for people who are soft with each other, people who are humiliating others? Do you look, what are the themes that you follow or are entertained by, the deviant thoughts? Because those also tap into the emotions that you are not talking about, but they are definitely strong inside of you. I hope that makes sense. Other than that, I thank everyone for allowing me the space and allowing me to give the pushback and the role play and have this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Dietrich, that speaker, that speaker. You got to hit the speaker. Do we have to go to
My
scam?
bad. My bad.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Um, Holy moly donut shop. This was a really good show tonight. Thank you,
Sure.
Precious, for having me on. But yeah, I just really think that accountability, you know what I'm saying, is a huge thing. And just being honest with yourself and everything. So, my thing is like Precious said, be just practice active listening. And don't dismiss, don't deflect, but actually listen to what's being said to you so that you can actually respond with comprehension, because the most important thing is not communication, it's comprehension. You
Hmm.
can communicate all you want, but if you don't understand anything just because you're not listening and you're only listening to respond, it's not really going to yield any positive results. So, with that said, you know what I'm saying? I just really um, appreciate you for having me on and all that good stuff.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. Scam likely?
Um, all I can say is this: spend work on your emotional intelligence. Um, Otherwise, the talking point mafia is gonna get a hold of you, and it's a wrap. That's it.
And just throw it in there. Darius Daniels did write a book, Relational Intelligence. It's a really good book. So you guys may want to check it out. It's not a long read, but it is a good read to teach you how to be more relationally intelligent. Hank, we're going to jump up to you.
No, I guess my final words is, man, find somebody who you could be vulnerable with and share their moments, and allow that to be the reason that brings y'all closer, because y'all able to share with each other. Like you said, definitely practice emotional and intelligence. That's a must. That should be one of the tough questions you ask while you're vetting slash interrogating a woman to be the woman that you want to be with in a relationship or a marriage.
All right. That was it, Hank.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. I switched Mark and King just because King's the co host. We're going to have him go last. But, Mark, what are your final words this evening?
Well, my final words is based would definitely be centered around just the platform alone. I think it's a great tool for men to come together to share thoughts on emotions, ideas. Let's be honest, we spend about well, outside of these platforms, a lot of times our friends, we usually have frivolous conversations about sports, women, etc., and not any type of conversations surrounding opening up, being just being better men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the what makes us um what makes us go as far as men when it comes to relationships. Sometimes, just to hear from other men helps those things. So just overall, my final thought would be it's a great platform, great conversation, and that's about it.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here, Mark. Thank you so much.
Mm.
All righty. And King,
Um,
last but not least.
I think that it's a dope thing to be able to have something with someone, right? And then be able to bring some type of emotional realness to them and not have them shit on it. For example, I shared something with God happened to me for those of y'all who have seen her in the chat. And one of the first things that she said after I had shared the news with her was she said, all right, what can I do to help? And I thought that that was dope. That question right there, what can I do to help after I had just shared something that spoke volumes? And that's exactly what I told her as well. I said, hey, first of all, thanks for simply asking that, right? And then I had shared with her, I said, for now, there's nothing that you can do, but asking that question right there tells me that I can trust you with this kind of stuff. I know that Hink talked about being able to test someone. Well, that wasn't a test, right? But yet at the same time, how she responded to what I said tells me what I can continue to trust her with. That's why I had asked a question on the panel as well. It's like, all right, well, what happens when you're in a relationship deep with somebody and then you trust it with something and they shatter it? What next? So I'm glad that we can continue to have these type of discussions for the people in the chat that show up and for the guys that hit the link. I appreciate everybody's viewpoints on everything, and thanks for allowing me to co-host on your show, Precious. I appreciate you.
Of course, of course. And I'm glad that you were simulcasting as well. So your viewers are able to, get a piece of the pie because we don't want to hold this stuff to ourselves. We do want to share it and we do want others to have the access to these conversations because these things happen like the first situation of the woman allowing the man to move in is something that happens all the time. The other situation with the man saying or the married couple saying how, her being able to pour life into me and to speak life to me is what is the most attractive thing to me. The most attractive thing that she can do is speak life to me. And that's, after you guys heard that, you guys were like, yeah, well, yeah, that, that it's important that she does that. I think it was a rare few that said it wasn't that important to them. And then that last slide or the last clip of Dr. Darius Daniels talking about emotional realness and how people really don't have places to be emotionally real. And so I appreciate you guys for being emotionally real here, being high, honest, open, and transparent. We'll be back on Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. Guys, tonight was sponsored by jecreativehosting.com. So if you guys need someone to host your website, definitely go over to jecreativehosting.com and put in the special code HCM22 for your special discount. But as I say every show, be real with yourself so you can be real with others. You guys have a great evening. Thanks, guys.
Peace.